candidate for state Supreme Court.
I'm Julie Groh-Denton. Every community deserves to have judges in whom you take great pride. From an early age, my parents instilled a love of family and a strong work ethic. Born and raised near my dad's family in Rome, vacations and holidays with my mom's family in the North Country. My career has brought me to courtrooms and law offices across our region, all while raising 2 children with my husband, driving them throughout Central New York for scholastics and sports. I know our communities. I value the importance of treating others with respect. I love the law, and I will make you proud. I ask for your vote.
Elect Julie Groh-Denton to state Supreme Court. Paid for by the committee to elect Julie Groh-Denton for Supreme Court.
Long before the sun rises and the highways are busy with traffic, before the kids are on the buses and first shift workers begin their day, Sheriff Rob Mashel is hard at work making sure our community is a safe place for all of us to live. It's what keeps him up at night and gets him up early every day. It's his passion. It's his purpose. It's his job.
I'm Oneida County Sheriff Rob Mashel. The men and women of the Oneida County Sheriff's Office are making a positive difference. Children are safer in schools because a trained officer is on duty at almost every school. Our deputies stand with area police departments to combat increased crime. If we continue working together, we'll keep Oneida County safe. I'm Oneida County Sheriff Rob Mashel. Law enforcement is my family. Your safety and their safety matter to me.
This November, re-elect Rob Mashel, your Oneida County Sheriff. Paid for by friends of Rob Mashel.
Somebody should tell Kathy Hochul Halloween is over. She's still trying to scare you about Lee Zeldin. The guy's a suburban dad with a wife and 2 teen girls. Enough already. Okay, you might not be thrilled about voting for a Republican. Me neither, and I won't make it a habit, but things have got to change. Under Hochul, you know what's happening with crime. Cashless bail? Come on. It's not just crime. It's the cost of living, just paying bills. Hochul delivers the most expensive state budget in history, then acts like she's doing you a favor by spending it. Besides, with all these people moving out of state, who's gonna get the bill? You. Hochul's already backed higher taxes 11 times. Lee Zeldin is the best hope we have to change things. The way I see it, you can vote for hope, or you can vote for Hochul.
Paid for by Safe Together New York, Inc. This communication was not expressly authorized or requested by any candidate or by any candidate's political committees or any of its agents.
It's time to start the program. It's time to earn our pay. It's time to meet the people on the Keeler Show today. It's time to read the news and weather. Time to figure out what to say. It's time to turn the channel of the Keeler Show today. Why do we always listen? Keeler's always in the know. It makes me want to call him and tell him where to go. And now let's get things started. Andrew, let's get things started.
It's time to get things started.
On the most sensational, inspirational, celebrational, Keelerational. This is what we call the Keeler Show.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
There goes the runner. Fly ball down the right field line. Tucker comes on. Kyle Tucker. This time they finish the job. The Houston Astros, world champions.
Well, what happened?
Smitty, go to Smitty.
What's wrong, Davey? What's wrong?
He's not happy about Houston.
Well, they didn't screw around, right? I mean, it just happened. They didn't wait for another game. It just happened. All over with, and the World Series baseball is done. Syracuse out of the top 25 AP after a putrid performance in Pittsburgh, and the Bills yesterday. Josh Allen throwing interceptions. I mean, he looked good. He was running the ball, but they just couldn't connect with the passing game. And then the second half. So And then that game last night. I mean, I thought Mahomes was going down until he wasn't.
Yeah. Great weekend. So I'm sorry, I totally lost my train of thought. Notre Dame is what I was going to say. All of a sudden, look at them.
I know, right?
Blew right through Clemson yesterday, or Saturday.
And how about this incredible story of the Powerball jackpot? Yet again, there was no winner on Saturday, and it will now tie a world record for tonight's drawing. Will tie the record for number of drawings without a winner, and I believe it's 40 as of tonight. That ties the record. But in terms of the amount, the record was broken on Saturday. Almost $2 billion. The jackpot is almost $2 billion tonight.
That's incredible.
It's unbelievable. And I guess if you're not taking a shot at that, I mean, you might as well take a shot at that, right? And for a couple of dollars, it's $2. I mean, your chances of winning are pretty low, but you got to take a shot.
Some people just will not play. I mean, think of the money you've spent on Powerball over the last decade, even 5 years, right?
Well, if you play often, yeah.
And these, I guess in theory it would be I'm going to spend X amount on that, and then you put it in a jar and then you save it. I mean, nobody actually does that. With the thought being you're much more wealthy by not playing. Even if it's only $2.
I guess you're right. If you're spending, which the Powerball is what, 2 or 3 times a week. So
yeah,
the minimum you're spending $6 a week on Powerball.
Having said that, I'll absolutely be buying a ticket tonight.
Yeah, I mean, $2 billion. We're reaching now the point where the payout has got to be, the lump sum payout's got to be over $1 billion now. That's just incredible. That Mattress Mac had a big win over the weekend.
I heard about this.
He bet on the Houston Astros defeating the Philadelphia Phillies during Game 6 of the World Series. He won a whopping $75 million on a $10 million bet. He claims most of the money will be going back to his customers because he ran a promotion where if you spend $3,000 or more at the store, you can get a total refund if the Astros win the World Series. And here is Mattress Mac making his Game 6 prediction, and the moment he realized he had won $75 million.
The entire city's excited about the Astros. Astros are hot. Phillies are a great team. Should be a great series. I'm predicting the Astros in 6. Go Stros! Let's go. Let's win this game and win the World Series tonight.
Apparently, that's what it feels like to win $75 million.
Let's go. Let's win it today.
Yeah. Wow. And he literally does own a mattress store there in Texas.
Well, that's cool. Good for him. And, hey, his customers are the ones who are going to get free beds, I guess?
Well, yeah. If they purchased a mattress for $3,000 or more, they will be getting their money back. Because cool. the Astros won the World Series. Richard this morning, Jets. They are an excellent team, awesome defense, powerhouse to come. I'm not saying they're not a great team, but the Bills did not play well. And the Bills had three key players off their defense, and Josh Allen just did not play well. He was throwing interceptions as if he was throwing to Jets players as if he was throwing to his receivers. I don't know. The Bills just did not play well. But I will tell you, in the second half, that Jets defense got to him all game long. He was out of the norm in the second half. Disrupted in the second half.
I mean, this happens. I understand that the Eagles right now are undefeated, but I mean, this happens every year. How great have the Bills been the last couple of years? You lose games here or there, right? It's a divisional game. Sometimes you don't have the sync, the rhythm. I think they're fine.
Well, the Bills are 6-2. The 2 games that they have lost have been rivalries. within their division, losing to Miami.
They know how to play him. They play him multiple times.
Jets, yeah.
You know.
How about that Aaron Carter dying? Nobody knows as to what the cause of death was, but he's had quite a history. In fact, he did a show, I believe, in Syracuse a while back and wound up in St. Joseph's Hospital because at that time they were calling it exhaustion, but then a few months later he was getting, I believe he went into rehab for drug abuse. Either way, Aaron Carter, who is the brother of the Backstreet Boys Carter, right? Nick Carter,
Yes.
passed away over the weekend. He was 34 years old.
Do they know what happened?
Yeah. At least we haven't heard yet. And how about this weather over the weekend? I mean, it was windy, but it wasn't as sunny as we thought it was going to be, but it was warm. Yesterday, I believe yesterday was our warmest day. I at one point, it looked like it was about 78 degrees, maybe even warmer. Syracuse over the weekend hit 80 degrees for the first time in a long, long time in November. But now we're in for, are you looking at the week doesn't look terrible, but when you go into next week, it does look like we're going to start cooling off. Highs only in the 40s.
Even this week as well, right?
Even this week,
Yeah,
but not as much as next week. Next week doesn't.
Well, it's coming sooner or later.
It's coming. You know it's coming, right? You just know it's coming. What else do I? Tomorrow is Election Day, and there's just all of what we're going to talk about today is going to, in some way, indirectly, reach election time. And I'll tell you, we'll speak with Francis Knoll, who is facing I guess, based on the polls, this is quite a race. I mean, it's practically a dead heat. I think the most recent Siena poll has him up by a few points, but only by a few points. It's within the margin of error.
46-42. I was pausing there because I was trying to pull it up. The poll shows Knoll drawing 46% support. 42% say they back Williams. That's a reversal from an exclusive Spectrum Siena College poll in early October, which had it 45-40 for Knoll. So the lead's shrinking by 1 point. A 4-point difference between the two. The result falls within the survey's 5-point margin of error.
We'll speak with him at around 7:40 this morning, somewhere in that vicinity. Also, the race between Zeldin and Hochul is looking to be within the margin of error as well, within 5 or so points. Siena has that one close with her up a little bit. The question is really going to be, does the New York City vote get out? If New York does not get out, there's a chance that Zeldin could walk away and win this race because he leads significantly upstate.
I struggle to see that as a realistic possibility, but, you know.
The OD today has a story about some candidates that had some controversy and some news over previous elections, and the whole Dave Gordon story and timeline is in the OD today. The whole thing, including our part of it, the lawsuit against me and the radio station. You'll recall the day that he had that press conference was my day that I quietly went in the hospital and had cancer surgery, and you covered that press conference.
What a day for that to happen, huh?
It was meanwhile, I'm in the hospital, and Andrew calls my wife and said, "You're not going to believe what Gordon just said about Bill." And, I'm in surgery. Nice timing, Andrew. And it was the surgery that it was complicated. It was supposed to be a couple of hours, and mine went on for like 6 hours. So at least Andrew gave my wife something to chuckle about during that whole thing. But the big thing is what he said about Pacenti and about a young lady. And I find that this story just gets regurgitated all over again. And the OD, the way they did it, it's quite interesting. It's a date, and it's really, they create a timeline of the whole process. And in the end, our lawsuit, the lawsuit against me, and this was all about us printing the arrest report, right? That's where that lawsuit initially came from. But it goes through the entire race, and that was a race for town clerk or county clerk. of all things. That's really where the county clerk's race became a big controversial race, which it kind of seems like it is again today. And there's a candidate out there going after Tony Pacini all over again over the county clerk's race.
That's true.
Not in such crazy fashion, however. But the story is in the OD. Speaking of the OD, they held their walkout on Friday. We have some pictures of that up on our website. We'll speak with John Pederisi later on this morning. John was the head of the union in Utica at the OD when he worked there, and we'll talk about some of the history. I had believed that this was the only time that the employees of the OD had done a walkout or a strike, and John says that's not true. They actually struck back in the 1960s, interestingly. So we'll speak with John Pederisi later on this morning as well. Did you early vote?
I did not.
I didn't either. We almost were going to, and then we just didn't get around to it because, I don't know, maybe the weather was just too nice. So it'll be tomorrow, 6 a.m. till 9 p.m. tomorrow for voting election day, and that's your last chance. Their predictions are that it's going to be a very, very big turnout.
I know a few people who did early vote. Smitty, did you? You did.
Yes, I
That's
did.
right.
I did last Tuesday.
I do think that early voting, when Trump ran, became kind of this thing where Democrats would early vote and Republicans would not. I do think that's changed.
That was part of the cover-up, right? The steal?
Well, the whole thing was, I guess, yeah.
Allegedly.
He was asking for Republicans to vote on Election Day. So that night, all of the Republican votes came in. It would look as if he were ahead, but it would take days, even longer in some cases, to count the early voting and the absentee voting. And that created the controversy. But I do think it's different this time around, right? I would imagine that Republicans and Democrats alike have taken advantage of early voting.
I believe so. I do believe so. Because of the few people that I mentioned that I know off the top of my head, I actually
They're
think
Republicans.
I believe so, yes. And one more thing on this Siena poll that I find interesting. So it's 46-42, Knoll leading Williams. Independents, though, in this poll, 45-39 for
Williams, right?
Knoll.
Oh, for Knoll. Interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. And that would be the difference, right? They say
they are the difference, supposedly.
The independent voters outnumber Republican voters in New York State, which is quite interesting. Crazy story in Rushville, New York. This is in Ontario County. 2 residents have been charged. They had an injured cat, and they decided we're going to have to euthanize the cat, but did not want to have to pay to euthanize the cat, so they put the cat in a freezer to euthanize it.
You can't do that.
It's a terrible story. Tracy Lagercio, 36, and Gordon Bennett, 50, of Rushville, began taking care of the cat after seeing a Facebook post saying it had been hit by a car and the owner didn't have the money to pay for its medical bills, according to the Humane Society there. After keeping the cat overnight, one of them decided it should be euthanized. They said she believed the cat had broken ribs and neurological injuries. They did not consult a veterinarian, did not have an animal medical background. They stuck the cat in a freezer in their garage to kill it. The cat was later found by family members who said it was alive but could not be saved. The cat died and was left in the freezer.
I'm sorry, I was not I was laughing at the idea of they said it had broken ribs and it had
They have no medical background at all.
It's just
They're just
John and Jane Doe diagnosis.
They are surmising. It's like, I believe neurological damage. And the crazy, horrific thing is they put the cat in the freezer in order to euthanize the cat.
Well, and that's disgusting.
They have been arrested.
Good.
A Northern California man saying that he is lucky after what he believes was a meteorite that hit his home. I could see something like this happening. I've seen one of those fireballs going across the sky, and they say that's most likely a meteorite.
Mm-hmm.
So it does happen. It caused a house fire and destroyed their home.
Can't NASA verify, though?
I would imagine there would be a way that it would have to be that science could verify.
I mean, we're always getting the warning, right? Like 2 days ago, an asteroid that
necessarily.
would have totally blown a hole in Earth passed by us.
Yes.
We didn't see it coming to the last minute. That does happen sometimes, but they would know.
This is a meteorite versus an asteroid. So an asteroid would be much larger.
Okay.
These meteorites are much more common, and I'm not sure, but I would imagine at some point you would hope that NASA would know everything that does hit the ground from the sky. One would hope.
Aren't we talking the difference of big rocks, little rocks?
I guess meteorite, but enough though to cause a fire and destroy the home. Here's the owner of the property talking about his home lighting on fire.
Heard a big bang. I started to smell smoke, and I went onto my porch, and it was completely engulfed in flames. They said it was a meteor. I've always watched meteor showers and stuff as a kid, but I definitely didn't look forward to them landing in my yard or through my roof. They said it's a 1 in 4 trillion chance. I guess I might be buying a lottery ticket today.
Okay.
Hey.
A 1 in 4 chance. Well, you're going to need better odds than that to win your lottery.
Well, if nobody wins tonight, the next one, it might be $4 trillion. It might be the payout.
Could be. You're right. Rob says, how come in the USA we cannot count all votes in one day when European countries are able to do it?
We can.
We are 50 individual states, or 54 like Biden likes to say. How is this? Well, part of this has to do with our.
That's a good point, Rob.
Part of it has to do with our military vote. So you have to wait for the military vote to come in, and then there's so it's that absentee vote that really kind of slows everything down. I don't know. I guess they don't have absentee votes in Europe. I don't know. I don't know how they vote in Europe, to be honest.
Well, even when it's close. Right, because we typically will know by like 10:30 tomorrow night who won.
Right.
But if we have to go through and re-hand count because it's that close, that's when things get drawn out.
And I think you'll get a better. There will be states, though. There are states that are, they call them slow counting states. There are some states that we'll end up waiting for to determine the outcome of Congress, right? But for the most part, in New York, I think we're pretty quick. For the most part, unless it's really, really close. And then there's recount and all. You remember the Brindisi-Claudia Tenney race. That we didn't know the outcome of that until, was it January or February?
That was ridiculous. I mean, that's ridiculous that it took that long.
But you
again,
had contested votes there. You
correct.
had you ended up in court, and votes that hadn't completely been counted, and votes that were set aside that couldn't be counted. It became a legal issue. But I do think you're right that, I mean, as long as it doesn't become a legal issue, for the most part, I think we're pretty good about getting the results in.
The issue wasn't that they couldn't count them or they ran out of fingers and toes, but it was because there were court dates and they had legal arguments.
Correct, right.
and the like.
Yeah. El Paso, Texas high school students have to do their SATs over because the tests were compromised after there was an open box and open air, and they were flying out of a UPS truck. That is true. Here are two students talking about as they witnessed the papers flying out of the UPS truck.
I just saw a bunch of papers everywhere. I had no idea what it was. I didn't think much of it, but I just decided to grab my phone and record it.
She was like, oh, they're actually Scantron bubbles because you can see the little bubbles if you really looked. So my mom, as a joke, was like, oh, they're your SAT scores because I had taken that the day before. And today I just found out that they were actually the SAT scores from our school.
Yeah. So they're the SAT scores, but so now they got to take the test over again? That doesn't make sense. But
yeah, I think she might have misspoke because who cares if it's the score?
You
were going to find out anyway, right?
Right. It doesn't change the results, I would think.
Right.
An Arizona woman celebrated her 101st birthday and says that the secret to life is, what do you think? Listen to what she says.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I don't know.
Having 6 kids and able to cope with it, even though they're all grown, now I can stand back and see them fighting.
She asked what your secret for life is to make it good.
Tequila.
It's tequila. She feels tequila is what keeps her going. Yeah.
Maybe.
A man has broken a world record for clapping. An Iowa man clapped 1,140 times in 1 minute. Really? How could you do that?
Wait, what?
A man in Iowa, and he'd be counting so fast, who would be able to actually count the number of claps? A man in Iowa clapped 1,140 times in 1 minute, which breaks the Guinness World Record. Here's the moment that Dalton Meyer broke the actual record. What kind of crap is that? Really? Did you hear that?
Yes.
That is the man clapping. That's real clapping.
He's going to be flailing
That's
his arm around.
Amazing clapping. And I guess you could count it. I mean, you have to go back and listen to the tape to count it.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I think it was way better than last time.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely perfect.
Absolutely. I broke the record. I broke the record for clapping.
You'd have to go back instant replay.
I think you'd have to
get to count it.
Yeah, 1,140 claps apparently is what you just heard, and that breaks a Guinness record. No idea how he could do that. Aaron Carter, as we said, was found dead in his bathtub Saturday morning. No word on the cause of death, but he'd been struggling with substance abuse issues for years, as we said. He wound up in the hospital when he performed in Syracuse. About 5 years ago. Only 34 years old. Here's a montage of his hits, beginning with his first hit when he was just 9 years old.
Is this sped up?
It does sound like it's a little
I don't recognize this.
A little higher pitched than normal. His older brother Nick was on stage last night at the arena at an arena in London. Nick cried as they sang a dedication song to his brother.
We'd like to dedicate this next song to our little brother Aaron Carter. It was good.
The only thing I think about is, your brother's just died, and you're like, well, I got to continue to play. So you would think that would result in the cancellation of the concert in London. Like, instead, they do a tribute song. Like, if it happened to a family member of yours, wouldn't you come home?
Absolutely.
Sorry, I don't know that I can work today. I had a death in the family, et cetera, et cetera. But no, they played, and Aaron Carter, Nick Carter actually was crying as they played and sang the song in tribute of his brother. So there you have that story. At 6:41, a quick break, and we'll come right back. Monday morning, the 7th of November, daylight saving time is now gone. It'll get a little bit, let's see, if we go back, we'll get a little darker earlier today, right?
Oh, there's no question.
They are talking about getting rid of, this might be the last time we experienced going back to standard time. That the next time we go to daylight saving time might be the last time we go to it, because there is a bill that passed in the Senate, and they're waiting on the House to actually vote on it.
I don't think it's going to happen. You have a better chance of them renaming this time of year daylight wasting time.
Do you think they won't change it?
I don't.
It's been passed in the Senate. It passed in the Senate, and if the House were to vote on it, which that could come up this year, and it were to pass, that would mean we would go to daylight saving time and not return, which would mean that next year when your kids are going to school in December, it would still be dark at like 8:30 in the morning.
I just feel like it's gone along pretty quick here, and nothing goes that easy. That would be a significant change. Doesn't it seem like?
I would say yes.
It's done.
But it did pass in the Senate. If the House were to take it up.
What are the odds? I wonder what the odds are. I want to bet no.
You want to bet no? All right. I don't know what the odds are. I do know the odds are pretty bad for tonight's Powerball, but I'll still play it. It's 6:42 at WIBX.
Mark Rose's experience is unique. City Court Judge in Little Falls for the last 14 years. Visiting judge for Utica. As a 30-year practicing attorney, Mark Rose has argued cases at all levels up to the Court of Appeals. He's served as a municipal attorney in towns and villages across New York's 5th Judicial District. And now Mark Rose is running for state Supreme Court to serve all of us. Experience, integrity. Mark Rose for state Supreme Court.
Paid for by the committee to elect Mark Rose for state Supreme Court.
I'm Brandon Williams.
After serving our country as a strategic missile officer on nuclear submarines and spending 500 days at sea, I came home, built a company, started a family, and now I'm running for Congress because Joe Biden and Francis Knoll are threatening our way of life. Cashless bail, skyrocketing inflation, America is under attack by the Biden-Knoll agenda. I've defended America before, and I'll proudly do it again. I'm Brandon Williams, and I approve this message.
This year, we, the people of Oneida County, have a choice. We can bow down to the political establishment, or we can stand up on our own 2 feet. I'm Marima Smagic-Oren. The race for Oneida County Clerk is more than just another election. It's a fight to decide who runs this county, the people or the politicians. Mary Finnegan's made her choice. She's the establishment's candidate, taking orders from the establishment's bosses. The difference between Mary Finnegan and me? She's running because she'll do what Tony Picenti tells her to do. I'm running because I know what to do. I'm an attorney and a real estate professional who works with the county clerk's office day in and day out. I'm a lawyer who knows the clerk is indispensable to New York State Supreme Court. My opponent files dog licenses and hands out parking permits. I deal with deeds, mortgages, and Supreme Court judges. I'm Marima Smagic-Oren. I put people over politics. Paid for by the Friends of Marima Smagic-Oren.
Are you tired of radical downstate Democrat political bosses telling our community what to do when they have no clue what the Mohawk Valley needs? They're ruining our state, causing inflation by increasing the state budget 27% in 2 years, passing bail reform, making our communities more dangerous, giving illegal aliens unemployment, Medicaid, and free college tuition, and taking away our right to defend ourselves. Assemblywoman Marianne Buttonshon voted to put these political bosses in power and for these terrible policies that we suffer from. These same political bosses directed $209,000 in 2020 and $131,000 so far this year to Buttonshon's campaign. What are they buying? We deserve better. We deserve an assembly representative who will fight for us. John Zielinski is the new leader we need, a business professional, not a politician. And unlike Marianne Buttonshon, John Zielinski will never vote for an assembly speaker who pushes for radical policies that hurt the Mohawk Valley. Paid for by John Zielinski for State Assembly.
Would you vote for Biden, Pelosi, Kathy Hochul? Of course not. Then why would you ever support Matt Castelli, a downstate Democrat? Never voted here before. Castelli supports Biden's latest spending spree that increases inflation, raises home heating oil, and is the largest tax increase ever. And like Hochul, Castelli supports a gun ban. This election, say no to Biden, Pelosi, Hochul, and no way to Matt Castelli.
I'm Elise Stefanik. Every day I go to work with one thing in mind, getting results for upstate New York. From securing millions for our seniors, veterans, and local hospitals, to leading the fight to stop Biden's inflation crisis. I'll always back the blue and defend our Second Amendment, and I'm not afraid to take on the radical left who think they know better. They don't. I'm Elise Stefanik, candidate for Congress, and I approve this message because I would be honored to continue serving you.
Paid for by Elise for Congress.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
Couple comments in there this morning. Michael says, in terms of that meteorite that hit the guy's house, we now have so much space junk orbiting the Earth. I think there's a good chance that it's a piece of that rather than a meteorite. And that's could very well be true. And Mike says, remember the old device you could buy on TV, the clapper. And I think that still exists. You can clap and it turns your lights on. Imagine this guy would be, he says, breaking the machine, or he'd be creating a strobe light the way that guy claps. Holy cow. Powerball results, and this is really quite interesting. What could happen if you win? Maybe you aren't going to want to win. Hard to imagine that we did not have a winner on Saturday night, and that the jackpot for tonight is an estimated $1.9 billion. I wonder if it goes up because of the number of people buying the tickets. I wonder if it goes up to a full $2 billion.
I believe it could.
It's 1.9. It went up on Saturday, right?
And you would imagine that there's more people buying than
It went
normal.
from 1.5 on Friday to 1.6 on Saturday. So that could be a situation. For many of us, winning that kind of money would be life-changing and wonderful. However, for some past lottery winners, things did not work out. You hear these stories, right?
Right.
Wouldn't you find a way to, so-and-so, they won the lottery, and then they kept fighting over the money, and everybody wanted the money to borrow, and it all went to their heads, and they lost everything. I would find a way to be a decent human being with $20 billion.
You would think that.
I would think.
Because there's enough to go around with that much,
You're
right?
Here's Laura and Roger Griffiths, $2.76 million. Before the money, they never fought. After the money,
peanuts, though.
A freak fire gutted their uninsured house.
Oh,
and
well, that's stupid.
Lara confronted Roger over emails with another woman. Their marriage came to a screeching halt. They divorced. Bud Post won $16.2 million. Peanuts, you're right, compared to what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Within a year of winning, he was reportedly $1 million in debt. A former girlfriend successfully sued him for a third of his winnings, and his brother put out a hit on him, hoping he would inherit the money. That changes everything. Now, all of a sudden, you have all this money and you're worth something. Now people might want you dead.
That's horrible. But you made this point a couple weeks ago about, somebody wins $2.5 million. The first thing they do is they buy a $2.3 million home.
And then they have no way to even pay the taxes.
You're already broke.
I know. Evelyn Adams won $5.4 million, was said to have gambled it all away in Atlantic City. Gerald Muswagon won $1 million, blew it all on a party pad, gifts for friends, and a failed logging business. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to open a logging business.
Oh, but you know what, though?
Completely failed.
At least he took a shot. He tried
He
to
did.
start a business,
Yeah.
and he bought his
He bought friends stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
He
that's
eventually-
not a sad story. I think that's a half success right there.
Well, it isn't, because he eventually took a job doing heavy lifting and then later committed suicide. So the money, destroyed him. Suzanne Mullins, I could handle $20 billion. I'm sorry. I'd be one of those. I would want to give people money, though. I'd want to be,
me too.
Here's money for you. And then the people would be like, that's all you're giving me? I'm like,
right?
sorry, this is what I'm giving.
See, I feel like greed is going to corrupt those people
Yeah,
anyway.
I think it is. Suzanne Mullins thought she'd figured it out when she won $4.2 million, split the annual payments with her daughter and husband, giving her $47,000 a year, found herself in debt after taking on her uninsured son-in-law's $1 million in medical expenses, and then lost everything. She only won $4.2 million. Now, I say only, but, $1 million in medical expenses. This person,
when you say she won 4.2, what did she get after taxes?
that's the problem.
Right,
These are the
2.5,
winnings. Yeah,
3?
think about it. That she's splitting up payments. Somebody's making $47,000 a year. Where are you going with $47,000 a year? Right? America Lopez won $38.5 million. America quit his job, claiming he needed foot surgery. In reality, he won the lottery and didn't want to split it with his coworkers. Once the cat got out of the bag, his coworkers, because here's the thing. He won in a coworker ticket
Like a pool.
situation. It was a pool.
Yeah.
But he said, no, I got to quit my job. I'm having foot surgery.
It's infected. It's terrible.
There is a common denominator in these stories that I'm giving you here, and I think it is the word stupid.
And greed.
So you put stupidity and greed together, and that's what you end up getting. America Lopez quit his job, said he needed foot surgery, but when word got out that he'd really won the lottery, they sued him, and he had to split all of the money, and that's how that story ends. I don't know. E.B. Roncalli won $5 million. Won, but didn't tell her husband how she was going to spend it. Then he reportedly found out that she gave $2 million to a secret child that she had with another man. He then poisoned her with painkillers. She's now dead. That's kind of an odd story, because how does a woman have a secret child? I guess it'd have to be
great questions.
Must be before they had met. Michael Carroll. These just continue. These are all horrible lottery stories. Michael Carroll won $15 million. His crack, partying, and hooker habits left him broke within 5 years. And finally, Andrew Jackson Whitaker Jr.
Wait, who was that?
That was Michael Carroll.
Oh.
Andrew Jackson Whitaker Jr. won $315 million. You'd think it'd be enough, right? He walked away with, after taxes, $114 million. That's pretty good.
Yes.
You are set for life.
Yes.
He had hundreds of thousands of dollars stolen from his truck because apparently that's where he was keeping the money. He was sued by...
It's going to make it rain down on Genesee Street.
He was sued by a casino after he bounced a simple $1.5 million check. The cash was reportedly gone after 4 years. I have a couple more. So before you play the lottery tonight, think of these people. And if you win, think of these people. Don't make this mistake. That's why the expert was saying, take the annual payments. Don't take the lump sum because it turns people crazy. Billy Bob Harrell Jr. won $31.5 million. Reportedly couldn't say no to those in need of a handout. He eventually, his wife got so angry with him that she divorced him. He then committed suicide. The money destroys people.
Why did you have to say that? I had a great joke, and then you have to say...
The suicide part. Sorry. Denise Rossi, $1.3 million. Hit her hubby with a surprise divorce, but didn't tell him about the money. When he found out 2 years later, he sued and took every penny back from her. He lived a pretty nice life.
Greed and stupidity. I mean, they can't come to some kind of an agreement.
And Janet Lee won $18 million, filed for bankruptcy after blowing it all on charity and political contributions, along with gambling and credit card debt. And there you have it. Here's the problem, too, where they say, you know what you should do? You should take the monthly payments. But if you know you're going to be getting $20 million a year for 30 years, you can now borrow against that because that becomes now your income. So there is still a way where you could, even though you're not taking the money, where you could still end up blowing the money.
This last example here, have you ever heard that somebody filed for bankruptcy because they had too many charitable contributions?
Charitable and political. I mean, you'd say that
Have you ever heard of that?
They're a nice person, right? They're giving to charity.
Yeah, you would think.
But unfortunately, also
political.
And political contributions along with gambling and credit card debts. So there you go. Mike says, what do you think are higher odds, winning the lottery or the guy that's running against Chuck Schumer? I think we have a better chance of winning tonight's lottery, to be honest with you. Could you imagine?
That's a great joke.
Could you imagine? What's the guy's name? Pine?
Pinion.
Pinion.
Is it Joe Pinion?
Joe Pinion. Could you imagine if he won and beat Schumer? That would just be the big shocker.
Isn't that how AOC? Didn't she upset somebody who was a guy down there who was in a primary?
Well, yeah, he was a big time Democrat and had plenty of experience. They thought he was going to win in a landslide. Got a break. We have news coming up top of the hour. Stand by for that. Coming up, John Zelensky says people have destroyed his political signs. We'll talk to John coming up.
Two very different people are running to become the next Oneida County clerk. One has made wild, false claims in her commercials, picked fights with the county executive, the county legislature, and others. She denigrates anyone who disagrees and clearly believes that her law degree has given her superpowers and the know-how to do everybody else's job. On the other side, there's Mary Finnegan, a level-headed, common-sense leader who served as clerk in the town of Whitestown for the last 17 years. She wrote and won a grant that modernized the office, made customer service a priority, and now wants to do the same for Oneida County. She will keep the Rome DMV open, and she'll work to improve the experience at all DMV locations. All this while protecting the public's private information. The fact is, there's no one better suited for this job. This election, please vote for experience. Vote Mary Finnegan, Oneida County Clerk, paid for by Friends of Mary Finnegan.
You wash your hands, you brush your teeth, but what about the nose? How do you clean your nose? With Navage. Navage uses powered suction to pull saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out the other nostril, flushing out allergens, mucus, and germs. And it's why cleaning your nose, the body's air filter, is the next evolution in daily personal hygiene. People try Navage for lots of reasons. Sinusitis, colds, allergies, snoring, things that make it hard to breathe through your nose. But over time, they find that cleaning their nose
knows makes them feel better, a lot better. Over 3 million Navage users have written more than 100,000 reviews, averaging 4.7 stars, saying, best product I've ever used, and amazing, I love my Navage. Navage helps you breathe better, sleep deeper, and snore less, but the biggest payoff is improved health. Navage is good personal hygiene and can help you stay healthier. At Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E, clean nose, healthy life.
Hey, I want to tell you about River Hills Properties, which continues to be the fastest growing real estate company in central New York, and it's all about the services that are provided by Bill and Robin Monjo. About 5 years ago, my wife and I decided, about 5 years ago, my wife decided we're selling our home. And we were searching for a real estate agency, and the only one thing we wanted was that the listing agent be there when the house was shown. And no one would do it. The only one that did was River Hills. So of that, along with some other real perks, including the book, which is 40 to 100 pages filled with details about the house, from warranty information to when the addition was put on, information about the new windows from New York Sash, et cetera, all placed in a book. And it gave us a great idea to determine what the asking price would be on the house that we purchased. But that's what they do at River Hills. From the book to the fact that they're there every step of the process assisting you, that's the River Hills way. If you're selling your home, River Hills Properties. WIBX Utica Rome at 7 o'clock.
More than 33 million Americans have already voted. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's the latest tally from AP as the campaigning continues for those who will vote tomorrow.
This Tuesday, you must go out and vote Republican in this giant red wave.
Former President Trump hoping for big Republican wins in the takeover of the House. He'll be in Ohio today after another rally in Florida. President Biden will go to Baltimore after campaigning for Democrats last night in New York.
We're the United States of America. And there's nothing beyond our capacity if we work together.
One key race in the battle for control of the Senate is in Pennsylvania.
Democratic Senate candidate John Fetterman is holding an election eve rally in the Pittsburgh area, while Republican Mehmet Oz will rally in the Philadelphia area. Both candidates are fresh off a weekend of teaming up with heavy hitters that made their way to Pennsylvania for Get Out the Vote events. Fetterman's campaign got a boost from President Biden and former President Obama, while former President Trump rallied for Oz.
As Fox's Tanya J. Powers, a climate change summit is underway today in Egypt, with the head of the UN, Antonio Guterres, warning the world is on a highway to climate hell with our foot on the accelerator.
I am asking that all governments tax the windfall profits of fossil fuel companies. Let's redirect that money to people struggling with rising food and energy prices, and to countries suffering loss and damage caused by the climate crisis.
More than 200 countries are at the summit. President Biden will go there Friday. North Korea's military says last week's barrage of missile tests were practice for strikes that they says would be merciless on South Korean and American bases and Operation Command Systems. And as the U.S. helps Ukraine fight Russia's invasion, Ukraine's defense minister just said they just got their first delivery of advanced surface-to-air missile systems. America's listening to Fox News.
You've heard me discuss how my everyday aches and pains were affecting my daily life before I started taking Relief Factor. You've also heard me talk to you about how my friends and family have found relief from their aches and pains with Relief Factor. Well, let me tell you about Gary from California. Gary says, I cannot thank you enough. I am 62 years old and have just started taking Relief Factor. I've never felt better and will recommend Relief Factor to all my baby boomer friends. Well, thanks for writing, Gary. 3 weeks from now, you could be doing the things you enjoy doing. Your first step to living the life you love, free from aches and pains, could just be to order the 3-week Quick Start for only $19.95. After trying Relief Factor, over 500,000 people have gone on to order more. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF to find out more about this offer. That's ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. Live your best life and feel the difference with Relief Factor.
We have clear skies, 45 degrees. WIBX News Time is 7:03. This news update is brought to you by Baird Private Wealth Management, a strong financial partner for 100 years. Visit bairdoffices.com/Utica. Election Day coming up tomorrow, and the candidates for governor and the New York 22nd Congressional District were out and about Sunday. Republican Congressman Lee Zeldin attended a rally in Syracuse. He was joined by Brandon Williams as well. He's seeking to represent the 22nd District as the Republican candidate. Zeldin is taking on Democrat Kathy Hochul. Williams will face Francis Knoll. Knoll will be at an event in Rome coming up this afternoon, Bill, and he'll join us on the program here coming up at 7:45. Central New York drivers not feeling the relief at the pump, and this is something we can talk to Knoll about this morning, Bill. $3.88, the average price in Utica, Rome. That's up 3 cents in the last week, 16 cents over the past month. In Syracuse, the average price $3.78. In Albany, it is $3.95. Syracuse football dropping out of the latest national polls. Syracuse losing its third straight game, no longer ranked after being as high as 14th earlier this season. Lottery players lining up once again to take on a shot at the winning largest Powerball jackpot in history. After no one won the $1.6 billion prize Saturday, tonight's jackpot will be at least $1.9 billion. In order to claim the top prize, you must have all 6 balls correct. President Biden making a final push to shore up support for Democrats ahead of Tuesday's midterm elections. He appeared in New York yesterday pushing for Kathy Hochul. She's in a tight race, of course, with Lee Zeldin. Biden called the election a choice between two fundamentally different visions of America. A planned merger between two major grocery store chains on hold thanks to a court order in Washington state. A temporary restraining order issued late last week will keep Kroger from buying Albertsons. The deal was set to happen today. A spokesman for Albertsons says the company will seek to overturn the restraining order as quickly as possible. And more than 40% of respondents in a new poll say they're worse off financially than they were 2 years ago. That according to an ABC News Washington Post study that shows the number has doubled since President Biden took office. We have mostly clear skies and 45 degrees and a bit of a cool-off versus what we've seen over the last couple of days. Sunny skies today with a high of 59. Mostly clear overnight tonight. Low of 35 degrees. Sunny skies Tuesday with a high of 48. Wednesday, sunny skies, a high of 60. And sunny again Thursday, a high of 66. Again, clear and 45 right now at 7:06.
All right, well, let's see. We saw Utica College with a huge win. What was the final score of that one, Davey? UC beating Alfred State.
62-14 or 17.
On Saturday, yeah, it was a big win. Syracuse, however, losing, and they fall out of the top 25, by the way, losing at Pitt. How about the Bills yesterday losing to the Jets? The Jets stunned the top team in the AFC after taking down the Bills 2017 in New Jersey. I have to say, Davey called it on Friday. A little worried about the way the Bills play with the Jets.
And you agreed, the Jets always played the Bills strong.
Anyway, the Bills remain in first place, but by a half game. They've had 2 losses this season, both in conference losses.
They're 0-2, yeah.
Last night, Patrick Mahomes led the Chiefs to a 2017 come-from-behind overtime victory over the Tennessee Titans in Sunday Night Football. Mahomes ran in a 14-yard touchdown with under 3 minutes left in regulation. He plunged through for the game-tying 2-point conversion, thought that game was over, and turns out it wasn't. We mentioned Syracuse lost its 3rd game in a row. They'll play, who do they play next? Florida State on Saturday night, 8 p.m. That's an ACC game. They have lost 3 in a row. And in college basketball, which is underway, Colgate will be playing Buffalo. Syracuse hosts Lehigh. The regular season gets underway tonight. There, we mentioned Utica College, Utica University, with a 65-16 win over Alfred State over the weekend. High school football, we had a lot of losses, right? A lot of local losses.
Unfortunately, yes.
However,
Proctor, New Hartford, Whitesboro,
CVA. General Brown, let's see, they will end up hosting Holland Patton because Holland Patton beat undefeated Adirondack 24-20. That was a big one. They'll play at the Dome for the championship. And in 8-man football, Frankfurt beat Bishop Grimes 52-14. And a little baseball news for you. The Mets are bringing back their closer with a historic deal. ESPN reports Edwin Diaz has agreed to a 5-year, $102 million contract with the New York Mets. What do you think of that?
Well, look, he was great last year, but think back to the last few times that you saw him. This series with the Padres, why were we bringing him in the 7th and the 8th innings?
Right. Yeah.
He was never our closer. He was getting prepped to come in the 6th inning, the 7th inning. I don't understand that.
It's a whole different mentality with the way they're using. I mean, your closer should be your closer.
They're sounding the trumpets there.
Didn't like
7th
that.
inning stretch.
Yeah. Crazy. Coming up, we'll talk to
But
John.
I'm glad they're keeping him.
John Zielinski says his signs are being damaged and is doing a final last push with voters. We'll also have his opponent, Marianne Buttenshaw, who will be in studio just around 7:30 or so. Francis Knoll is running for Congress against Brandon Williams, and Francis Knoll will be on the radio at 7:40 as well this morning. So it's that last push before Election Day tomorrow. Polls will be open from 6 a.m. until 9 p.m. tomorrow on Election Day. It's 7:10 at WIBX.
Mark Rose, 18 years, visiting judge for Utica. As a 30-year practicing attorney, Mark Rose has argued cases at all levels up to the Court of Appeals. He served as a municipal attorney in towns and villages across New York's 5th Judicial District. And now Mark Rose is running for state Supreme Court to serve all of us. Experience, integrity. Mark Rose for state Supreme Court.
Paid for by the committee to elect Mark Rose for state Supreme Court.
I'm Brandon Williams. After serving our country as a strategic missile officer on nuclear submarines and spending 500 days at sea, I came home, built a company, started a family, and now I'm running for Congress because Joe Biden and Francis Knoll are threatening our way of life. Cashless bail, skyrocketing inflation, America is under attack by the Biden-Knoll agenda. I've defended America before, and I'll proudly do it again. I'm Brandon Williams, and I approve this message.
Ask yourself, why would you vote to re-elect Marianne Buttenshaw to the State Assembly? Here's why.
Because law enforcement supports Marianne Buttenshaw.
She's endorsed by the New York State Troopers PBA, the New York State Corrections Officers PBA, and the Law Enforcement Officers Union Council 82.
Because large and small businesses support her.
Marianne's endorsed by the New York State Business Council and the National Federation of Independent Businesses.
Working families support Marianne.
She's endorsed by over 24 labor unions, including the workers at Remington Arms.
Because our frontline healthcare professionals support her.
Marianne's backed by the New York State Nurses Association and the SEIU 1199.
Educators support Marianne.
The New York State United Teachers endorsed her.
Marianne's record as common sense member of the Assembly's majority even earned her the nomination of the Conservative Party.
Marianne Buttenshaw, bringing your voice and your values to the New York State Assembly. Paid for by the Friends of Marianne Buttenshaw.
This year, we, the people of Oneida County, have a choice. We can bow down to the political establishment, or we can stand up on our own 2 feet. I'm Marima Smagic-Oren. The race for Oneida County Clerk is more than just another election. It's a fight to decide who runs this county, the people or the politicians. Mary Finnegan's made her choice. She's the establishment's candidate, taking orders from the establishment's bosses. The difference between Mary Finnegan and me? She's running because she'll do what Tony Picenti tells her to do. I'm running because I know what to do. I'm an attorney and a real estate professional who works with the county clerk's office day in and day out. I'm a lawyer who knows the clerk is indispensable to New York State Supreme Court. My opponent files dog licenses and hands out parking permits. I deal with deeds, mortgages, and Supreme Court judges. I'm Marima Smagic-Oren. I put people over politics. Paid for by the Friends of Marima Smagic-Oren.
This election, vote to re-elect Assemblyman Brian Miller. He's one of us.
I'm Brian Miller. As your assemblyman, I've been advocating for upstate New Yorkers like you.
Brian puts politics aside and works to create better jobs. He fights for farmers, education, and the expansion of broadband, leaving no one behind.
I vote to remove burdens to job growth and small businesses, stand with farmers, and work to bring broadband to our region so our communities aren't left behind.
He's fought to prove new gun mandates unconstitutional. And as we're all forced to tighten our financial belts because of inflation, Brian is demanding Albany do the same.
Crushing costs because of inflation and state policies have made it harder for all of us. We've all been tightening our financial belts, and I've voted for Albany to do the same, while I continue to fight for you.
So this election, re-elect Brian Miller in New York's 122nd Assembly District, because he's one of us. Paid for by Brian Miller for Assembly.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
At some point coming up, we'll speak with Marianne Buttonshaw a little later on the hour. And what did you tell me about the sign issue? What's going on with? I think Davey, you first noticed Zelensky's signs being damaged, didn't you? Wasn't there some signs where some people had drawn mustaches on the? On his face
over on the outskirts of Rome. I saw one.
Yeah. What's the?
Are you serious?
What is the complaint, Jeff?
They were drawing mustaches.
They were. It's funny because they described.
Hold on, John.
They described the Josh Allen's mustache during the game as a Clark Gable mustache.
Yes, they did.
I'm not sure it was quite Clark Gable, but close. But that's kind of the mustache I think they put on John Zelensky in Rome.
I wonder if. Well, I guess we'll find out. We'll ask him if he likes it. Just quickly, this is Ann from Rome. Some years ago, a man bought a lottery ticket for his mother. The mother won $1 million. Her husband then asked for a divorce. They went to court. Their son had to tell the court if the ticket was a gift to the mother. If so, the father got nothing. Not sure what happened, Ann says, but they lived in Ohio. That's so funny. What would you do? She said, my father would be poor. That's so funny.
Yeah,
she sends me the whole story and says, but I don't know what happened.
I don't know what happened in the end. You know, I feel like money can cause a divorce, right? But a lack of money can cause divorce too.
Right.
Right? So, I don't know.
Is it the root of all evil? Is that what they say?
I guess. But, you know, the fact is that if you end up winning tonight's jackpot, which chances are the lump sum, if you took in a lump sum, would be over $1 billion.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. Because if you win alone, because the jackpot's is almost $2 billion. I mean, after taxes, you'd walk away with $1 billion. You would be richer than Trump. I don't think Trump has $1 billion.
I don't think he does.
So certainly doesn't after the last 4, 5, 6 years, because he's getting. I mean, he's run into all sorts of these financial issues.
Trump doesn't have $1 billion. He has billions.
Billions. Yeah. John Zelensky has billions in fight. Right? Billions of dollars worth of fight he has in him. He may not have $1 billion, but he has the fight. Is that right, John? I think it is, right?
Good morning. I'd say I'm trying to be very competitive. Good morning, and thanks for having me on.
All right. Well, we won't make the comparison then. What is going on with your political signs? What has happened here?
Well, I received a call from a Town of Schuyler councilman on Wednesday saying that my sign at Dave's Diner had been knocked over, and that a Marianne Buttonshaw sign had been put in its place. So, although it's in Schuyler, many people from the 119th head out that way, so that's why I had a sign there. And so I went out there, and surely that was true. I took a picture and sent it to you. And then I got a call from another person that my sign off of Route 49 had simply been knocked down. And I went out there, and I didn't find it. And I called the local DOT, and they said that, yeah, they had found it knocked down. You can see by the pictures I sent you on that the steel posts were bent right over, in fact, almost severed. And they said they just, they saw it knocked down, so they just picked it up and took it back to their garage. And I went down, picked it up, repurposed it, and posted it in downtown Utica on a building of a supporter.
Well, look, who said Republicans don't support recycling?
That's
right?
a good point. That is
hats off, John.
Good point right there.
But the point is since then, a sign went down in front of Walmart, the Walmart exit in North Utica.
Who do you think?
Another one was knocked down at the corner of Oriskany Boulevard and Route 291. I don't know who's doing it, but if I knew and could prove it, I'd have them arrested.
Sure you would.
I just don't believe that's the way to run a political campaign, and that's not how I run mine. I don't know. Let me back up.
What?
I sent you the email that I sent to Marianne Buttonshaw, right?
Right.
Okay,
that's
you sent her.
That's all that's been said. I notified her that it was happening, and I make no accusations. I make no allegations.
Okay, so you're walking back what you just the accusation.
Because you did kind of make an accusation. You're like, I don't run my campaign that way, but
Well,
that
no,
woman
you're right.
does.
I will rephrase that. I don't have supporters like that.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Because it's someone out there. Well, clearly they're not a supporter of you. Whoever's taking those signs down.
Exactly.
Or it could be reverse psychology. They're taking them down so that you could say, "Look at how terrible that Marianne Buttonshaw is." I mean, that's possible.
All right, so John, I want to ask
You got to
something.
think the way I think. I think that way. Don't listen to Keeler. I put those signs up all over the place. We went to number 1. It was awesome.
I agree.
Okay,
Don't listen to Keeler.
All right, thank you for that, John. Especially right now while you're on, right?
So John, look, I'm sorry, I totally lost my train of thought there.
It was the don't listen to Keeler signs.
While you're recovering,
John, the last time you were on, you talked about the Conservative Party endorsement. I'm sorry. So you had indicated that you would have received the endorsement. We talked to a couple of people off the air who said that was not the case, and you misrepresented that. That was people with knowledge of the investigation, and I talked to the state Conservative Party chairman. Can you react to that?
I don't know why that would be the case, except after the fact, because I stirred up the problem with the Oneida County Conservatives, and it makes the whole party look bad. I know that back in 2020, I did not have enough signatures, but I had the nod from them in 2020 for the Conservative Party nomination. So,
John, how do you think you'll do tomorrow?
I think it's going to be a close race. I think it's a toss-up right now.
You do think it is?
I've had some positive things happen this past week, if you've got a few minutes. Or
Sure.
This past week, I received the highest rating that the National Rifle Association can give to a challenger rather than an incumbent, which was an AQ rating.
Okay.
Which I'm proud. I am a very strong defender of the Second Amendment. I also received the endorsement of 122nd District Assemblyman John Salka.
Okay.
And I also received the endorsement of 22nd Congressional District Congresswoman Claudia Tenney.
You almost seemed verklempt as you were saying that. Did that make you tear up a little bit that Claudia Tenney endorsed you?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. You know,
emotional.
I mean, she's a strong supporter of Lee Zeldin and Brandon Williams, who I also wish well tomorrow.
Yeah.
We've also organized my campaign. I've got a very good group of campaign volunteers that have been going out, passing out literature, and they've also organized a group of poll watchers to go out tomorrow and just observe at various polls.
Do you think there's going to be some cheating out there, do you think?
I don't think there's necessarily going to be cheating. I think sometimes, especially with the large group of folks we have where English is a second language, that they need sometimes they need some assistance. And, we've got some multilingual people who stepped forward and said, I'll help,
talk to people and tell them.
My fellow immigrants,
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. All right.
That's very positive.
Anything else you want to do to? So you're not implying that Marianne had anything to do with your signs going down?
I am not implying that.
Okay. All right.
I just wanted the word.
Yeah.
I just wanted the word to get out that it was happening.
And we don't know. I mean, again, throwing out possibilities, we don't know that it was a Marianne Buttonshaw's supporter that knocked the sign down. It could have been anyone. It could have been a prankster. Could have been a kid. Could have been a drunk driver. It could have been someone who was supporting you that wanted reverse psychology to kind of turn this into a positive story for you. All of that.
I kind of doubt that.
But all of that is possible.
Sides.
We don't have any evidence to. We don't have any evidence to lend to any of the possibilities.
Well, Bill, I'll just say this. I'll just let the listeners decide what they think.
Okay.
I just wanted to make it
fair
public.
enough. I just wanted to make the point that we have no evidence as to any of it.
And also, if you can go online, there should be a comparison, finally, of Marianne's position and myself in the United Daily Dispatch, which will come out today.
All right. And, there you have it.
Also, one other thing that came up is she, for some reason, at least by the deadline, had not answered the League of Women's Voters questionnaire, which you can also go online.
Okay.
A lot of good information on there.
All right. John, best of luck, and this will all come to a close. Well, we hope it'll come to a close by 9 o'clock tomorrow night. Hopefully, we get the results right away. Right?
I hope so too.
Yeah.
Because there's about 3,000 absentee ballots that were issued.
Okay. All right.
And 2,000 have been returned. So we'll see.
Okay.
And John, just quickly, why would you be a more effective representative for the area than Marianne?
Because my loyalty is to the citizens of this district. Marianne has to account for the fact that people like Carl Hasty and his cronies donated $209,000 to her campaign in 2020, and an update as the latest financial report. In 2022, they donated $131,000 so far. So she has to follow the party line, which is not unheard of, but it's different than the way I would represent this district. I'm a business guy, not a lifetime government employee, and my loyalty is to the people of this district, period, end of story, no one else.
Well, do you think, was she a lifetime government employee?
Well, I know that she was...
She worked at MV. I wouldn't call that a government
Well, she was at MV for 30-plus years as a sociology teacher, and before that she worked in the Whitestown Town Courts.
Okay. Well, you would see the MV as a government job?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's paid for by taxpayer funds. You get the same state retirement as town, village, and city.
Yeah, but that's my wife all this time has been a government worker. I didn't even realize it. We got to reap the benefits of this. I wouldn't call a teacher a government worker, but okay, if you want to go there, fair enough. There's taxpayer dollars included there. So, John, we wish you the best. Good luck out there, and tomorrow it all comes to a conclusion.
Yes, it does.
All right.
Thanks for having me on.
There's a little relief there for you as well. That there's been a lot of work goes into these campaigns. There's no doubt. So we wish you the best. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
John Zielinski. Right? Am I wrong in the? I wouldn't call the MV job a government job.
Right. I don't.
And I also kind of take issue, and I know that becomes a thing, right? Where we say, they were in government, at a government job, a taxpayer-funded job their whole life. Well, there was a time when we looked at public service, and and whether you're a politician or you're a DPW person, that serving the community is a positive thing. But somehow that becomes a negative in political campaigns. I guess I don't completely understand that, but it happens all the time. 7:27. Manaski will do news coming up in a second. Marianne Buttonshaw will get a chance to respond. We'll speak with her in a few. And Francis Knoll. He'll be in Rome this afternoon. He'll be on the air with us in a few minutes. As the polls show that this is a close race between he and Brandon Williams. We'll get to Francis Knoll coming up in a few minutes. Also, Davey will do Hobeika's free money question of the day. Joseph and Andrew Hobeika. Chance for you to win $106.90. Coming right up.
This year, we, the people of Oneida County, have a choice. We can bow down to the political establishment, or we can stand up on our own 2 feet. I'm Marima Smagic Oren. The race for Oneida County Clerk is more than just another election. It's a fight to decide who runs this county, the people or the politicians. Mary Finnegan's made her choice. She's the establishment's candidate, taking orders from the establishment's bosses. The difference between Mary Finnegan and me? She's running because she'll do what Tony Picenti tells her to do. I'm running because I know what to do. I'm an attorney and a real estate professional who works with the county clerk's office day in and day out. I'm a lawyer who knows the clerk is indispensable to New York State Supreme Court. My opponent files dog licenses and hands out parking permits. I deal with deeds, mortgages, and Supreme Court judges. I'm Marimas Magic Oren. I put people over politics. Paid for by the Friends of Marimas Magic Oren.
I can't take this kitchen any longer. Carl, we need to start looking for a new house.
Honey, you know the housing market is tight. It's going to be next to impossible to find something that we like.
I know, but this kitchen has to go.
Hey, what about a home equity loan from Adirondack Bank? We can turn the equity from our home into cash to renovate, just the way you want.
Renovate?
Adirondack Bank has competitive rates, and they've been a trusted community bank for decades.
A new kitchen. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah.
Then, of course, we would need new furniture, and we could repair the deck, even add a pool, and take that trip to Italy that we've always talked about.
Whoa, slow down, honey. Let's go talk to the experts at Adirondack Bank about that home equity loan. Then we can decide where to start.
I've always wanted to add on a craft room, and our bathroom needs a facelift.
Don't move. Improve. Stop into your local Adirondack Bank branch for more information on a home equity loan or visit AdirondackBank.com. Bank local with Adirondack Bank, your hometown community bank. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Are you tired of radical downstate Democrat political bosses telling our community what to do when they have no clue what the Mohawk Valley needs? They're ruining our state, causing inflation by increasing the state budget 27% in 2 years, passing bail reform, making our communities more dangerous, giving illegal aliens unemployment, Medicaid, and free college tuition, and taking away our right to defend ourselves. Assemblywoman Marianne Buttonshon voted to put these political bosses in power and for these terrible policies that we suffer from. These same political bosses directed $209,000 in 2020 and $131,000 so far this year to Buttonshon's campaign. What are they buying? We deserve better. We deserve an assembly representative who will fight for us. John Zielinski is the new leader we need, a business professional, not a politician. And unlike Marianne Buttonshon, John Zielinski will never vote for an assembly speaker who pushes for radical policies that hurt the Mohawk Valley. Paid for by John Zielinski for State Assembly.
We have clear skies, 45 degrees. WIBX News Time is 7:30. This news update is brought to you by Cliff's Local Market. They keep you going. Former President Trump will take part in a rally for Republican Senate candidate J.D. Vance in Ohio tonight. It happens just hours before the polls open tomorrow. Vance, in recent days, has opened up a slight lead over Democratic challenger Tim Ryan. Elon Musk isn't taking kindly to celebrities who decided to impersonate him on Twitter. The social media giant's new owner is banning users who impersonate others without clearly labeling their accounts as parody. The announcement comes after countless verified blue-check users changed their names to Elon Musk to share a wide variety of nonsense this weekend. Another Bay Area tech giant may be getting ready for mass layoffs. Facebook's parent company, Meta, is expected to make the move this week, possibly as soon as Wednesday. Thousands could lose their jobs in the first large-scale cut in 18 years. A Washington state court order is putting a merger of two major grocery store chains on hold. A temporary restraining order issued late last week will keep Kroger from buying Albertsons. The deal was set to happen today. And a record $1.9 billion jackpot is up for grabs in tonight's Powerball drawing. It'll be the 41st consecutive drawing without a winner since last being won in August in Pennsylvania. It surpasses the previous record of 40 straight drawings without a winner. Experts say to have fun, but keep your expectations in check. Your odds of winning the jackpot is around 1 in 292 million. WIBX News Time is 7:32. Your Weather Center forecast calling for sunny skies today, but quite a cool-off as we'll have a high in the upper 50s. Mostly clear overnight tonight, a low of 35. Sunny Tuesday, a high of 48. Wednesday, sunny, and a high of 60 degrees. Right now we have 45 degrees, mostly clear.
Let's do our free money question of the day. Give you a chance to walk away a winner from the Hobeika Law Firm, Joseph and Andrew Hobeika. $106.90 on the line. Davey, we're going with caller number which one?
4.
Caller 4 right now. Your chance to win. Caller number 4, 315-736-0186. You can call right now. We'll do the contest next. Speak with Marianne Buttonshaw and then Francis Canole coming right up at WIBX.
This year, we, the people of Oneida County, have a choice. We can bow down to the political establishment, or we can stand up on our own 2 feet. I'm Marima Smagic Oren. The race for Oneida County Clerk is more than just another election. It's a fight to decide who runs this county, the people or the politicians. Mary Finnegan's made her choice. She's the establishment's candidate, taking orders from the establishment's bosses. The difference between Mary Finnegan and me? She's running because she'll do what Tony Picenti tells her to do. I'm running because I know what to do. I'm an attorney and a real estate professional who works with the county clerk's office day in and day out. I'm a lawyer who knows the clerk is indispensable to New York State Supreme Court. My opponent files dog licenses and hands out parking permits. I deal with deeds, mortgages, and Supreme Court judges. I'm Marima Smagic Oren. I put people over politics. Paid for by the Friends of Marima Smagic Oren.
Long before the sun rises and the highways are busy with traffic, before the kids are on the buses and first shift workers begin their day, Sheriff Rob Mashel is hard at work, making sure our community is a safe place for all of us to live. It's what keeps him up at night and gets him up early every day. It's his passion. It's his purpose. It's his job.
I'm Oneida County Sheriff Rob Mashel. The men and women of the Oneida County Sheriff's Office are making a positive difference. Children are safer in schools because a trained officer is on duty at almost every school. Our deputies stand with area police departments to combat increased crime. If we continue working together, we'll keep Oneida County safe. I'm Oneida County Sheriff Rob Mashel. Law enforcement is my family. Your safety and their safety matter to me.
This November, re-elect Rob Mashel, your Oneida County Sheriff. Paid for by Friends of Rob Mashel.
Ask yourself, why would you vote to re-elect Marianne Buttonshaw to the State Assembly? Here's why.
Because law enforcement supports Marianne Buttonshaw.
She's endorsed by the New York State Troopers PBA, the New York State Corrections Officers PBA, and the Law Enforcement Officers Union Council 82.
Because large and small businesses support her.
Marianne's endorsed by the New York State Business Council and the National Federation of Independent Businesses.
Working families support Marianne.
She's endorsed by over 24 labor unions, including the workers at Remington Arms.
Because our frontline healthcare professionals support her.
Marianne's backed by the New York State Nurses Association and the SEIU 1199.
Educators support Marianne.
The New York State United Teachers endorsed her.
Marianne's record as common sense member of the Assembly's majority even earned her the nomination of the Conservative Party.
Marianne Buttonshaw, bringing your voice and your values to the New York State Assembly. Paid for by the Friends of Marianne Buttonshaw.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
All right, let's, here on this day before Election Day, let us go to our phone lines where Michael is ready to take a shot at winning our free money question of the day this morning. It's worth $106.90 from the Hobeika Law Firm, Joseph and Andrew Hobeika, at 315-724-1600. Mike, are you ready to play the contest?
Well, hello, Bill.
There he goes. It turns out to be Stefan. Are you ready to play the contest, Stefan?
Yes, I am.
All right. Here is your question. You're going to have 7 seconds to answer. Are you ready? Yeah, you are.
I am ready.
You are. All right. Here we go. M&M's first debuted during this decade of war. What decade? Ready? Go.
Is it the 1940s?
M&M's debuted in the 1940s. You're absolutely right. It was 1941. And you win $106.90. Congratulations, Stefan.
Well, thank you. And I like the peanut M&Ms the best.
All right. And instead of the money, we'll send you the peanut M&Ms. That's perfect. All right, stand by. Davey's going to hook you up. Congratulations. You'll also receive a, let's see, we'll give you some tickets to Fat Cats if you'd like. But in addition, I have another little gift here for you. It's a gift card that comes from the restaurants and concessions at the Adirondack Bank Center. It's a $25 gift card, and you can use it at any of the restaurants or concessions at the Odd, okay?
Great, and
Yeah.
I'll have to get to a Comets or Utica University hockey game and use it.
Yeah, they had a big win over the weekend in football, right?
Yes, they did. I was there actually.
And I believe the Comets or the Pioneers took 2 games from what was the team? No, I'm talking about the hockey team.
Yeah, they played Stetson.
Oh, Stetson they played over the weekend?
On the
They
road,
took
though, right?
2 games on the road, yeah. All right, stand by, Stefan. Davey's going to hook you up, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, man. That's his second win, by the way, of cash. I mean, it's kind of like somebody winning the lottery twice. Marianne Buttonshaw is in. Have you played the lottery yet? Are you planning to play for $1 billion, $2 billion?
I can say that Senator Griffo and I both went in on 2 tickets and.
Okay, all right.
And nope.
Nothing yet.
Nothing.
Well, tonight there's a new drawing tonight. It's $1.9 billion tonight.
See, that's the problem. There's 3 times a week. You get roped in. You know.
Well, I would think we've got to be nearing the point where somebody's going to win it. This is the tonight would be 40 times there has not been a winner.
Actually, 41.
And 41. That will tie a record, I believe, tonight.
So, Bill, do you buy one?
One. I don't buy that many, but I usually buy a couple, and I'll send them to people.
Nice.
Right.
Like
they'll have listeners call in and pick a number randomly.
Yeah.
And we'll have like a little pool going with the listeners.
And then I'm going to skip town if we win. That's what I'll do. Okay, Marianne, your opponent apparently has had some signs come up missing. Do you want to respond? I think he might have sent you an email with pictures. Do you want to respond to that?
He did send an email. I didn't see any pictures, and absolutely not. I've not touched a sign.
I'm not asking if you did it,
So.
by the way. I'm just asking if you have if you'd like to respond to it at all.
I can say clearly the signs need to be put up very securely.
Yeah.
Looking at this weekend alone, the wind will
It
take
was quite
signs
windy.
down.
Yeah.
Signs that are on municipal property are not supposed to be there. So I know that some of signs are removed if they're not where they appropriately should be,
Right,
if they're in right-of-ways and things of that nature. But clearly, I find it something that there is no response other than I don't get involved in anything like that.
Right.
So why should voters choose you and send you back to Albany?
I can my expertise, my experience. I have an educational background as well as the experience. I am someone that is unique in the sense of I don't look at division or partisanship. I look at the importance of working with everyone. That's with the legislation that I've carried with not only Democrats but Republicans. I've been endorsed by many business organizations. I've served as the president of the Marcy Chamber of Commerce, vice president of the Chamber Alliance. And clearly, the most important aspect is to work with everyone. And that is something that I've always done. I know that our nonprofits are out and about this weekend and supported every one of them because it's a learning experience. Every time that I go to an event, I learn something as well as have the opportunity to bring legislation forward. I'm very proud that the anti-catalytic converter theft bill was not only passed in both houses but was signed by the governor, as that's a very serious issue in this community and was brought forward to me by a local Rome business, Mr. Mastrangelo. I mean, he had a problem. He called my office and we started the legislation. I worked with the district attorney's office on what would be the best approach. The commissioner of DMV made some compromises, but this legislation was passed.
So
go ahead.
This is the rash of stealing your catalytic converter and then cashing it in. So there's a way to track it. You have to submit the VIN number, is it, or what was the final bill?
Well, there is. You can put tracking on them, but clearly, more importantly, it is holding the business that's receiving them accountable. So the businesses that are doing everything appropriate, there's no changes.
Right, right.
But there would be a tracking. I mean, if Bill comes in with 10 catalytic converters, it's quite evident that that's something that needs to be considered.
Or I have I better own a junkyard or something, right? It's amazing how much those are worth.
Yes.
I never realized, and the other part is how quickly these people are able to float underneath your vehicle, cut it right out, and then off they go. It's really, it's become quite the racket.
They are made of special metals. The titanium, it is very expensive. They say on the average is 45 seconds, but it's about $2,000 worth of damage to your car.
Yeah, yeah.
So the insurance companies are concerned also, as well as the dealers.
Your opponent was on just a few minutes ago and made a comment about you having living a lifetime of on the taxpayer's dime, a lifetime of public service. There was a time when public service was a positive. I think for some reason during campaigns it becomes negative. Would you consider your job at MV a public position?
As an educator and then an administrator, no.
Yeah.
I very proud of the years. I started as an intern there and completed my education and then went back. I worked 10 years part-time. It was during a time when it was difficult. Baby boomers were coming in an influx, so there was no full-time positions. But I can say that I'm very proud of that job. It was a dedication and commitment, and I will always be a lifetime learner as well as support education.
Why should the voters select you versus your opponent?
Clearly, again, I have the educational background, the experience, a common sense approach, understand the importance of working with everyone. This community deserves the willingness to work together, no matter what party you are, and clearly talk about the importance of the positive and moving this community forward.
One of your commercials does address the fact that you are a member of the majority. Is that and there are those locally that believe that's very important because you're at this point the only Democrat that in a Democrat-controlled Albany. Is there a benefit to the community? And I think that's one of the things you sell in your commercial.
Well, I think when you look at the reality of putting a bill forward, ensuring that the support is there so that it can be passed, is when we talk about the majority in that aspect, it does. Clearly, when we're talking about funding streams and bringing resources back to the community, but I think that more importantly, again, is hearing what the individuals have to say and determining how best to do that. I find that I am, if you look from Amsterdam to Syracuse, the only Democrat that is here, but more importantly, the most conservative Democrat in the Assembly. I mean, I mirror that of the deputy minority or Republican leader on the floor. Mr. Ra and I have the same ranking by the state Conservative Party. So it is not the approach to look at it within partisanship. It is, again, to look at what we need within this community, and I will bring resources any way possible to support that.
And your opponent has also said that because you've taken money from certain members of the state, members of the Assembly, that you will be bound to vote a certain way. Does anyone tell you how to vote?
Absolutely not. And more importantly, if you look at my voting record, you don't get the ranking by the state Conservative Party by voting clearly not reflecting what those issues are. So I can say that more importantly, again, that there is no influence. The influence is the people that I represent in this district.
Your opponent raised the issue of the local conservative committee and maybe some wrongdoing in how committee members were selected. He indicated that would have changed who the party endorsed. You mentioned your conservative rankings in New York State. Will you react to that? Do you think you would have gotten the Conservative Party endorsement anyway?
I think that that's a question for the committee members, but I screen just like anyone else. Clearly, I think that it is a strong party within the community. They base themselves on the reputation of the conservative thought process. And clearly, as I screened with them, they selected me. I am honored that they do that. They did do that during that time, and I will continue to work with them in any way possible.
And then finally, I would ask you, because you now are, you're running on a record. You're not a new candidate as you have been in the past. What are you most proud of that you accomplished beyond the catalytic converter? And then, is there anything that you would do differently? That maybe something you're not most proud of?
Well, I can say that as time goes on, experience does help within this process, just like any other position that one would take. As we just talked about the bill that passed within the catalytic converter, I also carry many bills that are important to the health and safety of individuals in this community. I have about 80 bills that I'm the prime sponsor, and then many others that I co-sponsor. But I am most proud of listening to the people, them bringing their ideas forward so that legislation can move forward. It is locally grown, and it's something that needs to be done. I'm very proud of bringing my colleagues to this area for farm tours. Once they're here, they see how great this area it is. Then when it comes time for us to have those conversations in committee, or as well as putting bills forward on the floor, the face-to-face seeing the Mohawk Valley, to me, is one of the most outstanding aspects. What could I do differently? Again, continue to work with local individuals as much as possible to bring that expertise to Albany. Many of the bills, as you look at the floor votes that are coming forward, some of them are quick. So we want to make sure that I can reach out to as many individuals as possible that have that expertise. So there's many times that is a struggle. We go late into the evenings, sometimes into the night. So those are the most difficult aspects.
Bail reform?
Again, definitely. That was a budget bill. We did do another bail reform bill this past session. I did not support because it did not go far enough.
All right.
So as the bail reform was discussed this session, it did not fit what this community had asked me to do.
Based on the public outcry when it comes to public safety, whether it be at the state level or the national level, we're going to speak with Francis Knoll coming up in a second. Do you feel there should be you must feel that there should be a strong change to the bail reform, a reform to the reform, if you will?
Absolutely. I carry a bill that gives judicial discretion over dangerousness. That's something that's never been in New York State before bail reform, but it's so important. Other states have it. A judge has to have that ability when individual is in front of them. I also have a bill that talks about mental health in regards to that judge making that decision that the individual is impeding on some mental illness, and we need to ensure that with their discretion they have the ability to place this individual into a secure facility where treatment can be provided.
All right. Mary Ann Buttonshine, anything you want to add?
I just want to thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here today, and I know just to remind everyone that it's important to get out and vote tomorrow, and thank you again.
All right. Thank you so much.
Good luck.
I'm going to keep it rolling here. Francis Knoll is running for Congress in the 22nd Congressional District against Brandon Williams. And Francis is on the line right now. Francis Knoll, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Bill. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for coming on. And I guess I'll kind of parlay into what we were speaking about with Mary Ann Buttonshine, and that is the problem Democrats seem to be having is with public safety. And I think there has to be some realization that in somewhere, whether it's true or it's just basically the belief of members of the public, Democrats have gotten a bad rap on this. How do you defend that and going forward congressionally?
No, that's a really important question, and I've been very strong about my support for police and public safety. But I've spent my life serving our country, fighting to keep Americans safe in uniform, abroad, on the ground in Iraq, in our intelligence community, at the Pentagon. And I come from a law enforcement family. You know, my family's been on the front lines of this fight really for decades. My grandfather was the former sheriff of Onondaga County, where he served for almost 2 decades. The Justice Center in Syracuse, New York is named after my grandfather because of the work that he did on the front lines of law enforcement. My uncle was a 30-year state trooper and then detective with the Bureau of Criminal Investigation. So this is something personal to me, is making sure we are supporting law enforcement and keeping our community safe. And, you know, I just heard Assemblymember Button Shawn talk about bail reform. I agree with her. I think Albany needs it. It's a state law, even though they talk about that in relation to me a lot. But I think I think there's a collective understanding now that it really just hasn't worked for Central New York, and that Albany needs to take action to reform this law. And I think at the federal level, you know, I think we need to do more to make sure we're supporting our police. In September, you know, Washington passed the Invest to Protect Act, which helps fund police. But I think we need to continue to go further to make sure, in the face of rising public safety challenges, that we are giving police what they have, what they need to take on this fight.
How did Democrats lose this battle, if you will? And I don't want to say that it's been lost, but it kind of has. When your opponents, when Republican opponents look at Democratic candidates, they paint the Democratic Party as a party that's for defunding police, where it was never really endorsed by the party, but was there enough done to send the message that Democrats also support police?
Well, I think that what happens sometimes in the course of this kind of policy discourse is you have extreme members of parties who tend to be the loudest.
Right.
You know, they're the loudest on social media, and they make the most noise. Whereas, you know, someone like me, who's never been described as extreme, who navigated a 13-month primary where I was always called the moderate centrists, have never supported measures like that. Yeah. But because there are extreme and loud members making noise on social media, it's easy to try to tag everyone with it.
Yep.
So what I've been is just very consistent about my background, my family's background in this work, my personal background defending this country. And then on a policy front, just being very clear of what I think we need to do to, take this on going forward.
Jeff.
Do you think that the COVID vaccine should be mandated for children going forward?
I think at this point, this is something that I really want to trust our local leaders to make the decisions on. I think that our local leaders, our county executives, County Executive Vicente, County Executive Brian McMahon, our mayors have really navigated our community through a very tough time. So I really want to see our local leaders inform these decisions going forward involving COVID. It was just a hell of a time, that we went through for the whole country and our community. And I was very proud at the way our local leaders navigated it and also worked together. I think that going forward, I think we're going to really need to trust our local leaders to make those judgments and decisions.
This is obviously a tough year for any Democrat to be running. Currently, with Democrats in control, inflation, what it is, people, whether it's the Democrats' fault or it isn't one party's fault, Democrats are still in control. President Biden is still the president, and people are still paying what they're paying at the gas pumps and at the grocery stores. How do you combat that, and how do we change that going forward? How do we make people's lives better moving forward if you win and spend the next 2 years in Congress?
Yeah, well, I have been running strongly again since I launched this campaign to really be a independent voice for Central New Yorkers. I have not ascribed to the extremes. And look, I'm running against somebody who hasn't even been endorsed by the sitting congressman who's retiring right now, Congressman Katko. That's very rare for the sitting congressman not to endorse the Republican nominee. And I'm running on a message to be an independent voice. And on the policy front on this issue, this is a top issue. I released a plan in January on this. I think Washington has really failed on this on so many fronts. Democrats, Republicans, just moving too slowly, whether it's the Fed or whether it's the White House or whether it's Congress. Measures could have been taken. Here's an example of it. The White House made the decision to increase domestic production to meet this crisis of rising costs of the pump. But they waited too long. They made the decision too late. I mean, it takes 6 months to bring some of this production online. So if they were going to make that decision, they should have moved out quicker. I called for lifting the federal gas tax back in January. That still hasn't been done. I know that's not a big amount, but anything helps when you're trying to meet monthly costs. I've called for implementing true middle-class tax cuts. Something in our debates, we had this spirited series of 3 debates. Something my opponent said he was against middle-class tax cuts. I think that's going to be needed as we grapple with these challenges of rising costs. Lowering the cost of prescription drugs. I hear from seniors all throughout central New York about the challenge on meeting those monthly costs. We have to make sure that we are implementing and allowing Medicare. These drug companies make billions and billions of dollars. This allows Medicare to negotiate directly with the drug companies. And then finally, Bill, I mean, this is kind of a medium and longer term issue, but as we continue to implement this bipartisan infrastructure bill, I think we need to take a hard look at what's happened and the bottlenecks in our supply chains and investing in our ports, particularly if we run into any kind of challenge like this again. And I just want to say finally, look, this is a tough time. It is, with rising costs. But I'll tell you this, there is some things to be very optimistic about here in central New York. There was 2 pieces of legislation over the past year, both of them the result of hard work, working together. First, I mentioned the infrastructure bill, right? That is going to allow us to rebuild our roads, bridges, pipes, expand broadband. And then second, that bipartisan CHIPS Act. Congressman Katko, one of only 24 Republicans to go across the line. This allowed Micron to come in here to central New York. Now Micron joins Wolfspeed in producing and reshoring these semiconductors that we ceded to Asia for so long. It's not just a matter of economic growth. It's a matter of national security. We're going to be a part of it. And really now we need to make sure we're implementing the policies so that our entire community is part of this growth.
Final plea, your final message to the voter out there is, of course, tomorrow it all comes to a conclusion.
Look, my final message is I'm not a politician. I am not coming into this with any extreme partisan agenda. I'm a son of central New York. I'm a 20-year veteran who has served on the ground in Iraq at the senior levels of the Pentagon. And I'm fighting for working people because I come from a family of working people. Lower costs, for better jobs and better pay, to support our police and protect public safety, and against this extreme agenda that wants to criminalize women's health care, cut Social Security and Medicare, and attack our democracy. So please, everyone, make your voice heard and get out and vote on Tuesday. This is an important election.
Francis Knoll, thank you so much for your time. Good luck, and we'll see where this all goes. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Talk to you soon.
Right.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Francis Knoll, the Democrat running against Brandon Williams. As we've said, we've invited Brandon Williams to come on the program, and I guess he still have that opportunity up until tomorrow. Got a break. News coming up straight ahead. Coming up next hour, John Pederisi, that walkout, that strike at the OD. We'll talk about that coming up. WIBX Utica Rome.
Discuss how my everyday aches and pains were affecting my daily life before I started taking Relief Factor. You've also heard me talk to you about how my friends and family have found relief from their aches and pains with Relief Factor. Well, let me tell you about Gary from California. Gary says, I cannot thank you enough. I am 62 years old and have just started taking Relief Factor. I've never felt better and will recommend Relief Factor to all my baby boomer friends. Well, thanks for writing, Gary. 3 weeks from now, you could be doing the things you enjoy doing. Your first step to living the life you love, free from aches and pains, could just be to order the 3-week Quick Start for only $19.95. After trying Relief Factor, over 500,000 people have gone on to order more. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF to find out more about this offer. That's ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. Live your best life and feel the difference with Relief Factor.
So what if Republicans do win control of the House?
House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, who may very well become Speaker of the House, laid out the issues at the GOP forefront if they establish a post-midterms majority, starting with building a strong economy.
Tackle this inflation, become energy independent so you can afford to fill up your tank and still have money left for food.
McCarthy appearing Sunday on Fox and Friends Weekend. Republican Senator Mike Lee of Utah, who is running for re-election, said on Fox's Sunday Morning Futures that the GOP knows it can't be overly aggressive if it takes over Congress.
We understand that we'll be on a short leash. We understand that things can't be business as usual.
Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
On Wall Street, stocks could rise to start the week. Dow futures have been up more than 100 points. There's a familiar champion on the NASCAR racetrack.
When they arrived in Phoenix, Joey Logano, Christopher Bell, Ross Chastain, and Chase Elliott had equal opportunity to come out as NASCAR Cup champions. But the 2018 champ Logano gave himself an advantage on race day by claiming the pole Saturday.
Today, he etches his name in stone as one of the few to capture multiple championships. Logano is a two-time NASCAR Cup Series champion.
Courtesy NBC Sports, Logano won the first race of the season back in January, and he wins the last, leading 186 of 312 laps. He joins Kyle Busch as the only active drivers with multiple championships. Chastain finished third, Bell 10th. Elliott hit the wall in the final stage. Tim McMaster, Fox News.
On Sunday Night Football,
Mahomes on the run at the 10, at the 5, to the goal line, in for the touchdown.
that tied the game for the Chiefs in the fourth quarter. On NBC, Kansas City then beat Tennessee in overtime 20-17. That's the same score the New York Jets win over Buffalo and Minnesota's victory over Washington, the Vikings' sixth straight win. The Green Bay Packers lost a fifth game in a row, beaten by Detroit. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
We have clear skies, 47 degrees. Good morning. I'm Jeff Manaski, WIBX News Time 8:05. This news update brought to you by Baird Private Wealth Management, a strong financial partner for 100 years. Visit bairdoffices.com/Utica. Election day coming up tomorrow. Polls will be open from 6 a.m. until 9 p.m. The candidates in two major races were still trying to build support for voters yesterday and will continue to do so today. Republican Long Island Congressman Lee Zeldin attended a rally in Syracuse yesterday. He was joined by fellow Republican Brandon Williams, who's seeking to represent the 22nd District. Zeldin taking on Governor Kathy Hochul. Williams will face Francis Knoll, who we just spoke with here on the Keeler Show this morning. Knoll also campaigned in the Syracuse area yesterday. He will be in Rome this afternoon. Well, one of the things that may be weighing on voters' minds at the polls tomorrow, gas prices and Central New York drivers not feeling any relief over the past week or the past month. In the Utica Rome market, the average price now $3.88 a gallon. That's up 3 cents over the last week, 16 cents over the last month. The average price is a dime cheaper in Syracuseville and 7 cents higher in the Albany area. Lottery players lining up once again to take their chance at winning the largest Powerball jackpot in history after no one won the $1.6 billion prize Saturday. Tonight's jackpot will be at least $1.9 billion. In order to claim the prize, of course, you must have all 6 numbers. The cost of a ticket is $2. The drawing will be streamed online at Powerball.com. And certainly it would be nice to win for many people because 40% say they're worse off financially than they were 2 years ago. The ABC News Washington Post study shows the number has doubled since President Biden took office. 43% said their family's financial situation has gotten worse. 39% said it has remained the same. And a Texas businessman known as Mattress Mac, you were talking about this morning, has millions of reasons to be happy about the outcome of the World Series. He wagered $10 million on the Houston Astros to win the series. They beat the Phillies 4-1 in Game 6. He gets $75 million, but says most of that money is going back to customers by way of a promotion that he did.
Yeah, if you spend $3,000 on a mattress, you get that money back now because the Astros won.
Plus, I would have to imagine he's got insurance on that, in addition to his wager.
He may very well. That's a good point.
Your Weather Center forecast brought to you by Cliff's Local Market. They keep you going. Mostly sunny skies today, but cooler than we've seen over the weekend. Would you say it was yesterday?
Well, Syracuse out at Hancock, they hit 80 degrees over the weekend. We had to be close to 78, 77 degrees yesterday. It was unbelievably, both Saturday and Sunday, warm.
Looking at a high of 59 degrees today. Mostly clear overnight tonight, a low of 35. Sunny skies for your Tuesday with a high of 48. Sunny on Wednesday and a high of 60. Mid-60s by Thursday with mostly sunny skies.
Not bad. Next week, though, looks a little different.
Yes, beggars can't be choosers.
That's right.
We have clear skies, 47 degrees. WIBX News Time 8:08. Here's Bill with sports.
After all, it is November, right? Listen, the Kansas City Chiefs last night, Patrick Mahomes, they looked like they were getting spanked. They came back to tie it up and won in overtime. The Chiefs winning 20-17 in overtime. The Bills yesterday, stunned by the Jets, end up falling to 6-2 now, still atop the conference. However, they are a half game up now, losing 2017 to the Jets yesterday. Josh Allen just did not look, he just didn't look like Josh Allen. Syracuse football over the weekend suffered its third loss in a row. Syracuse falling out of the AP Top 25, losing 19-9 to Pittsburgh. They'll play Florida State this weekend on Saturday at 8 p.m. on the ACC network. Some big college action locally. Utica University, 65-16 winners over Alfred. They are now 8-1, Davey. I believe they only lost one game, and that was to
Cortland
a while back. Let's see, college basketball. Colgate will play Buffalo. Syracuse plays Lehigh tonight in their season opener. Also, some high school football over the weekend. Frankfurt beat Bishop Grimes 52-14 in 8-man football. And Holland Patton upset Adirondack in Class C. 24-20 was the final. Adirondack previously undefeated. Holland Patton will play General Brown on Sunday at the Carrier Dome. We mentioned the Mets have re-signed a 5-year deal with Edwin Diaz. You know what happens to somebody like Edwin Diaz is after he gets the big deal, then he just can't pitch anymore. It's like, this seems to be the way of signing big deals with the Mets.
Cue the trumpet. Here comes our 6th-inning reliever.
It's the weirdest thing, right? He's supposed to be your closer, and all of a sudden they're bringing him in the 7th inning. But that's a little baseball action after baseball comes to a close this weekend with the Houston Astros winning big.
I think this offseason, the goal is to get an 8th-inning reliever who plays the guitar, electric guitar. That's what their hope is.
That'd be great. $1.9 billion jackpot.
Boom!
Is tonight. The drawing, you have till like 8 o'clock to purchase a ticket. Wait in line, or you can use that Jackpocket app, which you can do it right at the convenience of your own, in your own room, wherever you are, your own workplace, your car, you could even do it. The app makes it very easy to purchase those tickets, which I'm not sure is always a good thing, but it does make it easy.
Well, yeah.
To purchase for a big drawing like tonight's. 8:11 at WIBX.
93-year-old Connie Torrey was tortured and killed at her Syracuse home. Her killer was just released from jail with no bail.
So Victoria Affett had been arrested 10 times. 5 of those were either assaults or assault with a weapon.
That woman was, she was like a time bomb, a ticking time bomb.
She was released on a no bail recognizance.
If Kathy Holk were right here, I would tell her the story of what happened to my aunt and how brutal it was.
I hold her responsible.
Kathy Hochul let my family down.
We need a governor who's going to do the right thing. We need Lee Zeldin.
We would be much safer with Lee Zeldin.
Give me a second. I would not want anybody to go through what we went through.
Paid for by Zeldin for New York.
Julie Grow Denton, longtime practicing attorney and law clerk in federal, state supreme, and county surrogate court. Julie Grow Denton, high school valedictorian, honors graduate from Bucknell and Harvard Law. Julie Grow Denton, candidate for state Supreme Court.
I'm Julie Grow Denton. Every community deserves to have judges in whom you take great pride. From an early age, my parents instilled a love of family and a strong work ethic. Born and raised near my dad's family in Rome, vacations and holidays with my mom's family in the North Country. My career has brought me to courtrooms and law offices across our region, all while raising 2 children with my husband, driving them throughout Central New York for scholastics and sports. I know our communities. I value the importance of treating others with respect. I love the law, and I will make you proud. I ask for your vote.
Elect Julie Grow Denton to state Supreme Court. Paid for by the committee to elect Julie Grow Denton for Supreme Court.
You wash your hands, you brush your teeth, but what about the nose? How do you clean your nose? With Navage. Navage uses powered suction to pull saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out the other nostril, flushing out allergens, mucus, and germs. And it's why cleaning your nose, the body's air filter, is the next evolution in daily personal hygiene. People try Navage for lots of reasons. Sinusitis, colds, allergies, snoring, things that make it hard to breathe through your nose. But over time, they find that cleaning their nose makes them feel better, a lot better. Over 3 million Navage users have written more than 100,000 reviews, averaging 4.7 stars, saying, best product I've ever used, and amazing, I love my Navage. Navage helps you breathe better, sleep deeper, and snore less, but the biggest payoff is improved health. Navage is good personal hygiene and can help you stay healthier. At Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E, clean nose, healthy life.
2 very different people are running to become the next Oneida County clerk. One has made wild, false claims in her commercials, picked fights with the county executive, the county legislature, and others. She denigrates anyone who disagrees and clearly believes that her law degree has given her superpowers and the know-how to do everybody else's job. On the other side, there's Mary Finnegan, a level-headed, common-sense leader who served as clerk in the town of Whitestown for the last 17 years. She wrote and won a grant that modernized the office, made customer service a priority, and now wants to do the same for Oneida County. She will keep the Rome DMV open, and she'll work to improve the experience at all DMV locations. All this while protecting the public's private information. The fact is, there's no one better suited for this job. This election, please vote for experience. Vote Mary Finnegan, Oneida County Clerk, paid for by Friends of Mary Finnegan.
Ask yourself, why would you vote to re-elect Marianne Buttonshawn to the State Assembly? Here's why.
Because law enforcement supports Marianne Buttonshawn.
She's endorsed by the New York State Troopers PBA, the New York State Corrections Officers PBA, and the Law Enforcement Officers Union Council 82.
Because large and small businesses support her.
Marianne's endorsed by the New York State Business Council and the National Federation of Independent Businesses.
Working families support Marianne.
She's endorsed by over 24 labor unions, including the workers at Remington Arms.
Because our frontline healthcare professionals support her.
Marianne's backed by the New York State Nurses Association and the SEIU 1199.
Educators support Marianne.
The New York State United Teachers endorsed her.
Marianne's record as common sense member of the Assembly's majority even earned her the nomination of the Conservative Party.
Marianne Buttonshawn, bringing your voice and your values to the New York State Assembly. Paid for by the Friends of Marianne Buttonshawn.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
All right, this is an unbelievable story here. This woman in Switzerland was run over by her own car 3 times. She's been seriously injured. She's in the hospital after a run-in with her own car, and here's how it happened. According to reports, the woman left the car running while she got out to get something out of the trunk. Now, my wife witnessed this happen just in a parking lot just yesterday. A woman got out of the car, had not put her car in park, and the car then rolled forward and bumped into another vehicle. It was a very slow roll, so it didn't really even cause any damage. Mm-hmm. But the woman, I don't know if she didn't realize she did it, but she got, back into her car, put it in park, went into the store. Never said anything. The people who were sitting, by the way, The people were sitting in the car that she hit. They were sitting in the car.
Did they make a stink about it?
No, they got out and checked, and there really wasn't much damage. My wife was watching the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's important to make sure your car is in park and shut off before you get out, right? Could we agree on that? This is what happened to the woman. She apparently left the car running while she got out. It was not in park. The vehicle was on a slight slope. The car rolled backwards. She tried to stop it, fell to the ground. Her vehicle ran over her. The car then bumped another vehicle and rolled forward and ran over the woman again. Then the car hit a sidewalk and bumped back yet again. Now the woman is injured on the ground. It ran over her for a third time before finally coming to a stop at a wooden barrier. And the woman is in serious condition in a hospital. Who ran over you? I did. Well, not really. It was my car that did it. 3 times.
That's unbelievable.
Just crazy. The world we live in. Patty Allinger, good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
You believe that story? True.
I got hit by a car in a parking lot by somebody who thought they were going forward but was going backwards and was run over. So, yes, I believe it.
So you've been run over by a car?
Yeah.
I've always thought
Luckily,
about... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
How did you handle
luckily,
it?
I wasn't serious injury,
Yeah.
but I did get hurt
my
quite a
God.
bit for soft tissue damage.
Did it roll right over you? Did you miss the tires? I always thought if I'm going to be run over, I'm going low, and I'm going to try to stay away from the tires.
The tire came up on top of my leg.
Oh, my Lord.
And then rolled back forward. They stopped. And so I was really lucky. It did not go completely over me.
Wow. Well, unlike this woman in Switzerland, holy cow. 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to be having some bad luck.
Yep.
Listen, you are an infectious disease expert. Am I correct?
I don't know that any of us in today's world call ourselves that, but yes, I know a lot about infectious diseases.
Yeah, especially after the world we've been living in, right? We're living in a pretty scary time right now with pediatric hospital beds on the really being filled up across the country with these respiratory illnesses. What's going on, and what are the numbers?
No, it's a combination of a lot of things, and they're if you look at some of the statistics, they're saying as many as 70% of the hospital beds in children's hospitals are full, and that gets a little concerning when we're looking at getting into the flu season and other situations. So what's happening is you've got a couple things going on. Number one, we've all started going back to school. Everybody is not wearing our masks anymore, or at least not as much, and we're not washing our hands. Even our vaccination rates have gone down quite a bit for flu and for COVID.
Yeah.
I think people are a little bit COVID fatigued. And then you have a population, both adults, but yet especially those young kids who normally on a normal year would get exposed to things and they'd get a common cold. Well, you have this now, bucket of individuals basically that never have been exposed to anything. So you've got a larger number of kids who are getting infected.
Yeah.
And so you see a larger number of serious conditions. And, it's kind of like an anomaly, or it's just kind of because we went through this pandemic, this is kind of the aftermath, probably. And I think probably because that's what everybody is wondering.
Yeah. Well, interesting. Children's Medical Center in Hartford, Connecticut confirmed to ABC News it's considering working with the National Guard and the Federal Emergency Management Association as it explores the possibility of setting up a tent on the hospital's lawn. Boy, this is a throwback to a couple of years ago. But I do remember people saying, what's going to happen is we're protecting ourselves so much that and we're staying away from people, social distancing, all of that, that when we get out like we are now, we're not going to know how to fight off these diseases. And you're saying that really is kind of where we are right now.
Well, it could be. And when I say it could be, is that you do have a population of individuals who either their immunity has waned, even adults, or that have never been exposed.
Right, okay.
And so they're just now all getting exposed. And again, our hospital systems, are really not ready for that type of a capacity. And so, again, we go back to what are our vulnerabilities.
Mm-hmm.
You want to really protect those really little ones.
Right.
I mean,
right.
they just do not have the ability to fight things off like other more healthy, older, even children do.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, do you have family members that are really concerned? And if they're sick, stay home. And we just aren't very good at doing that.
No. It's almost like today. No, I brought so and so in, and yes, he or she is sick. But don't worry, it's not COVID. Hello, I don't want anything that you've got to give. Right? Manasseh.
Quick question: in your opinion, should children have the COVID-19 vaccine mandatory for school?
That's a very interesting question. The mandatory part is the one that's really, concerning as far as for a lot of people is, should we mandate it? Just like, should we mandate the flu vaccine?
Right.
To date, we have not mandated either the COVID-19 or the flu vaccine for, school-age kids. Now, other vaccines we have in some states, like measles or MMR. So that's a question that I think is going to be coming up more and more, is that from these communicable diseases standpoint, should we be mandating those that are available, especially when we see these high numbers of kids getting sick? And so those are questions that we're all going to have to start thinking about.
All right, Patty, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
You have a great day.
Stay well and stay away from moving vehicles.
Definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
The latest Rasmussen Reports National, do I have to say Rasmussen or is it Rasmussen?
I guess, yeah.
I'll call it RR.
Okay, good. The
RR
Fair
National Telephone and Online Survey finds 31% of American adults believe public schools should make the COVID-19 vaccine mandatory for students. 58% are against it.
Well, I got to tell you that I think my wife and I will get the next COVID shot. I think we will. However, I do worry that vaccine is not as accurate as, based on what you're hearing from companies like Pfizer, that vaccine is not as accurate as we thought it was with all of the new variants. So how can we be mandating a vaccine right now when we're not sure? It's kind of like the flu vaccine, right? One year the flu vaccine is really good. The next year it might not be so effective. So is that what we're going to be dealing with for the rest of our lives with COVID? Kind of wonder.
This says in August, 43% favored that. Now that's down to 31%.
Yeah,
2 months later and right before the election.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of where I think I would not be favoring that. You had some comments.
I have breaking news here into the program. I want to mention this first. A comment from a listener. This is Bill in Utica. He says, tomorrow is going to be a great day for our constitutional republic. It'll be a tsunami. The people will speak and speak loudly. I hope Bill doesn't shed too many tears.
I don't know what that means, but because as far as I know, Trump's not on the ballot tomorrow, so ain't no tears coming my way. And despite this person must think that I'm a flaming liberal, like me and AOC go partying on Saturday night. Yeah, we do.
Breaking news coming up.
Although I don't think she's an ugly woman.
I agree with you there. Breaking news coming up on the program. Not a flaming liberal, Brandon Williams.
Oh, he is coming.
I think we're going to get him in 15 minutes.
All right, I hope so.
So stay tuned for that.
Listen, this is a race that I didn't think was going to be a race because I think the district does skew blue. It skews Democrat. But it is a race. And just for the record, that person's comment, I do believe tomorrow will be a big day for Republicans. It should be. But I do wonder if, so my take on it is, I don't know that it's going to be as big as it probably should be. Because I truly believe, based on Biden's performance, based on the economy, based on inflation, everything, and just based on general history, right? Trends over the years, I think Obama, when he was president, lost 60 seats in the House. President Trump lost 40 seats in the House during his midterm election. So history would tell you that this is going to be a Republican wave. But let's just say Republicans have not done a great job taking advantage of this. I do think the Roe v. Wade thing has the potential. I clearly think that the Republicans will take the House. But I think it could have been bigger. And I don't think Roe v. Wade has helped. I also wonder how much President Trump out there campaigning and how much President Biden out there campaigning are helping either side. That's going to be very interesting to see. So I think it'll be a big red day tomorrow. I don't know that it's going to be the tsunami everybody thinks it's going to be. That is not a personal preference. That is an observation. Please make note of that.
You mentioned the abortion.
And Brandon Williams, I think he has a shot tomorrow. I think Lee Zeldin has a shot tomorrow. Never saw that coming.
You mentioned the abortion issue, and there is an ad that plays over and over and over again about Brandon Williams and abortion. We'll get a clarification on that coming up this morning. I believe he's going to join us in 15 minutes. But, right? It's that unequivocally support thing or with no pre-qualifications, right? It's the ad that plays over and over and over.
I think those ads are just white noise at this point on both sides. And they're both coming. They're coming in from the Democratic congressional committee and from the Republican congressional committee. They're horrible ads on both sides. And I think people are just fed up with them. Do you want to see another one of those ads? I don't think those help. And I know that the belief is that negative ads work. I just don't know that they really do. All right, coming up, we'll talk a little. So CAVI has an event that's coming up. We'll talk to John Pederisi and Brandon Williams, all coming up here before we get out of here at 9 o'clock. 8:29 at WYBX.
Would you vote for Biden, Pelosi, Kathy Hochul? Of course not. Then why would you ever support Matt Castelli, a downstate Democrat? Never voted here before. Castelli supports Biden's latest spending spree that increases inflation, raises home heating oil, and is the largest tax increase ever. And like Hochul, Castelli supports a gun ban. This election, say no to Biden, Pelosi, Hochul, and no way to Matt Castelli.
I'm Elise Stefanik. Every day I go to work with one thing in mind, getting results for upstate New York. From securing millions for our seniors, veterans, and local hospitals, to leading the fight to stop Biden's inflation crisis. I'll always back the blue and defend our Second Amendment, and I'm not afraid to take on the radical left who think they know better. They don't. I'm Elise Stefanik, candidate for Congress, and I approve this message because I would be honored to continue serving you.
Paid for by Elise for Congress.
This year, we, the people of Oneida County, have a choice. We can bow down to the political establishment, or we can stand up on our own 2 feet. I'm Marima Smagic-Oren. The race for Oneida County Clerk is more than just another election. It's a fight to decide who runs this county, the people or the politicians. Mary Finnegan's made her choice. She's the establishment's candidate, taking orders from the establishment's bosses. The difference between Mary Finnegan and me? She's running because she'll do what Tony Picenti tells her to do. I'm running because I know what to do. I'm an attorney and a real estate professional who works with the county clerk's office day in and day out. I'm a lawyer who knows the clerk is indispensable to New York State Supreme Court. My opponent files dog licenses and hands out parking permits. I deal with deeds, mortgages, and Supreme Court judges. I'm Marima Smagic-Oren. I put people over politics. Paid for by the Friends of Marima Smagic-Oren.
Hey, do it all this holiday season. Book your home improvement project with New York Sash and get a free vacation. Schedule a price quote for a qualifying home improvement project with New York Sash, and they'll give you a cruise or luxury vacation voucher to take the trip of your dreams. Cruise for 3 to 7 days on the top liners and locations, or stay at your choice of 4,500 luxury resorts worldwide. There's no blackout dates. You get 24 months to book, and it's fully transferable as well. It means it's the perfect gift. You don't have to choose. Improve your home and get the vacation of your dreams from New York Sash. No choices there. You get everything. Find out more by signing up for a no-cost, no-obligation price quote. Go to their website, newyorksash.com/vacation. Or you can stop into their showroom on Oriskany Boulevard in Whitesboro today.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
And the official coffee of the Keeler in the Morning radio program is from Daylight Donuts in New Hartford. And you can enjoy any of their unbelievably delicious lattes. Everything from A to Z, all different types of flavors. I think there's 14 or 15 flavors, including the pumpkin spice, which is pretty big right now. A box of coffee, fresh bagels, fresh donuts, and breakfast sandwiches every day. It is Seattle's best coffee. It's Daylight Donuts with a lightning-fast drive-through, in and out, and you're on your way in the village of New Hartford. In studio right now, Tara Capone and Karen Murphy with CABV. Guys, good morning. And good morning. So tell us what's happening. What are you guys doing? It's a health fair that is coming up on Wednesday.
Yes, it's actually our first community health fair, and it's free and open to the public on Wednesday, November 9th from 3 to 6 p.m., and we're really excited. We're going to be having the Oneida County Health Department offering a free flu clinic, several branches of Mohawk Valley Health Systems, and many community health and wellness partnerships. So
Nice.
It's really exciting.
Free to the public?
Correct, yes. And there's so much going on. Karen's done an amazing job pulling in local partners. Like for vendors, there's going to be fitness demonstrations. There's going to be, obviously, the flu clinic from, the whole time from 3 to 6.
Nice.
And basically all things health and wellness, because as a part of CABV's new Vision Health and Wellness Center, we always want to, really get the point across that if you take care of your vision, you can't leave your vision out. You have to, for your whole body, you have to be, taking care of your eyes, taking care of, it's the mind, body, spirit connection.
Yep.
However, a lot of people don't think of that until they have problems.
Right,
so
right.
as a preventative and as, more of an informational event, we really want to get that center used in the community as a resource.
Okay, nice. So it's Wednesday from 3 to 6.
Yes.
Anything else you guys want to plug on this?
Can you talk about flu shots? And we have COVID shots there.
So not the COVID shots, but just the flu shots for this clinic. And we're also going to be offering free adult and preschool vision screenings. So two of our doctors, Dr. Wadis and Dr. Zook, are going to be offering the adult vision screenings, and then our OT and our OTA are going to be offering the preschool vision screenings. So kids, families, adults, everybody come in and get your screenings and information. And then we're also going to be collecting non-perishable food items for the veterans to benefit Utica Veterans Outreach Center.
Okay,
so
nice.
if you bring in canned goods or non-perishables, we're going to be entering you to win free raffles.
All right, cool. And Veterans Day is this week, right?
Yeah,
I believe
Friday.
it's on Friday.
Friday, yeah.
so
Yep. So
Good
it's
timing.
very timely, right, for the, right in time for Veterans Day and then the holidays.
Nice.
So please bring your non-perishable goods.
Okay, great stuff, Tara and Karen. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so
ladies.
much.
Wednesday from 3 till 6 o'clock.
Correct. New Vision
And-
Health and Wellness Center, 408 Elizabeth Street.
And and by the way, the flu shots are free.
Yes.
You don't have to have
Yes.
insurance or anything like that.
No.
Oh,
No. Okay, cool. All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
very
so much.
Quick break, and coming up, we mentioned Brandon Williams. We'll speak with him. John Pederisi. The OD had a walkout, a strike on Friday, and John has a little history behind all of that. We'll get to it coming right up here. 8:36 at WIBX.
This election, vote to re-elect Assemblyman Brian Miller. He's one of us.
I'm Brian Miller. As your assemblyman, I've been advocating for upstate New Yorkers like you.
Brian puts politics aside and works to create better jobs. He fights for farmers, education, and the expansion of broadband, leaving no one behind.
I vote to remove burdens to job growth and small businesses, stand with farmers, and work to bring broadband to our region so our communities aren't left behind.
He's fought to prove new gun mandates unconstitutional. And as we're all forced to tighten our financial belts because of inflation, Brian is demanding Albany do the same.
Crushing costs because of inflation and state policies have made it harder for all of us. We've all been tightening our financial belts, and I've voted for Albany to do the same while I continue to fight for you.
So this election, re-elect Brian Miller in New York's 122nd Assembly District because he's one of us. Paid for by Brian Miller for Assembly.
I'm Brandon Williams. After serving our country as a strategic missile officer on nuclear submarines and spending 500 days at sea, I came home, built a company, started a family, and now I'm running for Congress because Joe Biden and Francis Knoll are threatening our way of life. Cashless bail, skyrocketing inflation, America is under attack by the Biden-Knoll agenda. I've defended America before, and I'll proudly do it again. I'm Brandon Williams, and I approve this message.
You wash your hands, you brush your teeth, but what about the nose? How do you clean your nose? With Navage. Navage uses powered suction to pull saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out the other nostril, flushing out allergens, mucus, and germs. And it's why cleaning your nose, the body's air filter, is the next evolution in daily personal hygiene. People try Navage for lots of reasons. Sinusitis, colds, allergies, snoring, things that make it hard to breathe through your nose. But over time, they find that cleaning their nose makes them feel better, a lot better. Over 3 million Navage users have written more than 100,000 reviews, averaging 4.7 stars, saying, best product I've ever used, and amazing, I love my Navage. Navage helps you breathe better, sleep deeper, and snore less, but the biggest payoff is improved health. Navage is good personal hygiene and can help you stay healthier. At Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and online. Navage, Navage, clean nose, healthy life.
Somebody should tell Kathy Hochul Halloween is over. She's still trying to scare you about Lee Zeldin. The guy's a suburban dad with a wife and 2 teen girls. Enough already. Okay, you might not be thrilled about voting for a Republican. Me neither, and I won't make it a habit, but things have got to change. Under Hochul, you know what's happening with crime. Cashless bail? Come on. It's not just crime. It's the cost of living. Just paying bills. Hochul delivers the most expensive state budget in history, then acts like she's doing you a favor by spending it? Besides, with all these people moving out of state, who's gonna get the bill? You. Hochul's already backed higher taxes 11 times. Lee Zeldin is the best hope we have to change things. The way I see it, you can vote for Hope, or you can vote for Hochul.
Paid for by Safe Together New York, Inc. This communication was not expressly authorized or requested by any candidate or by any candidate's political committees or any of its agents.
Are you looking for a mortgage, downsizing possibly, going into a new home? Think about Adirondack Bank. Adirondack Bank has the perfect mortgage for you. And with Eco Checking, mobile banking, personal home loans, Adirondack Bank can help you with all of your financial needs. And with 14 locations in the area, and that along with their banking app, Adirondack Bank is just a click, a call, or a short drive away. And you will always be treated like a neighbor. Not a number. It is your hometown bank, Adirondack Bank. Visit any one of the locations today or go to AdirondackBank.com to begin your ADK experience. Think about a mortgage perfectly suited to your needs from Adirondack Bank, member FDIC.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
Don't know if you saw that on Friday at 5 o'clock in the morning or 5:30, whatever it was, the employees, many of them over at the Observer Dispatch, walked off the job for 24 hours based on unfair labor conditions, I believe is what they were complaining about. And John Pederisi, longtime OD employee, is on the line right now, has a lot of the history back when Gannett owned the paper the first time. John, good morning. Thanks for coming on this morning.
All right. Thank you. Good morning, Bill.
So you had said that this was not the only time that employees at the OD walked off the job.
No. 1967, the OD and Daily Press took a 100-day strike. It was from I think late August into must have been into November, or late. And at that time, Bill, you had not just the newspaper guild. There were several other craft unions. They had the stereotypists and so on. The printers union.
Okay.
There were 3 or 4 or 5 unions, and they all got together and they walked off the job. I was in college at the time, and I remember one of the reasons I really remember this is we had a very good football season at Hamilton College that year, and there was nothing about it in the paper until the end of the season because there was nobody to cover games.
Wow.
But in any case, that lasted 100 days. I think they did get a decent, or considered for the time, a decent raise out of it, but didn't really get much else.
Yeah.
And one of the results of that was Gannett, the corporate bigwigs decided they were never, ever going to let that happen again. So they kind of they kind of really adapted even more of an anti-union attitude after that strike. We had many jobs. I was president of the union for many years of the Newspaper Guild. We had many job demonstrations. We picketed outside. We did different things, tried byline strikes and so on. We never actually walked off the job. For one thing, and I don't know if this is going to have any repercussions for the present union members, there was a no strike clause in the contract. But I don't think they're going to get impacted by that this time. I don't think the company's really going to pay attention to that.
John, can you clarify something? Because you said earlier that that one particular year there was no coverage of Hamilton College football, and they had a really good program. But at the same time, you said you guys didn't walk off the job.
Well, he wasn't there at that time.
No, I wasn't there at that time. This was 1967.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. That in 1967, it was a full-blown strike. They shut the place down. Although the bosses, the editors, and the administration, and I'm not sure about the business office, they went to work every day.
Right.
In later years, a no strike clause was inserted into which meant this. As long as the contract was enforced, you couldn't go on strike. You couldn't leave. Okay. Right. And you know what happens is if you don't reach your contract's up, you don't reach an agreement, the contract remains in force. Okay. So there's a bit of a distinction there. You don't have a contract, but you're still living under the rules of the contract, and you can't go on strike.
What a difference. I mean, you worked at the OD at a time when, can we call it the heyday?
Absolutely. The heyday of newspapers, really.
Yeah. and look at where they are today in a small office with less than a dozen employees. I mean, it's and you're expected to try to pull off the same type of coverage you had when you had a full house.
Well, now this is not just true in Utica, Bill.
I know.
This is true all over the country. I was just looking at the Providence Journal, which is also owned by that, way down circulation. The Boston Globe, Boston Herald, way down circulation. Cleveland Plain Dealer. But I'll tell you this: 1988, the papers merged in. We're the same company, but the OD and the Daily Press. The Daily Press was the morning paper. Merged in 1987. Right. At that time, there were 88 people in the newsroom, okay?
Wow.
And there were probably 300 employees altogether, distribution, production, ad sales, so on and so forth, right? So now we were the newsroom staff was going to shrink a bit because now you had one paper, but you could also offer more. Well, 88 people in the newsroom now with bureaus in Rome and Herkimer, and Herkimer. And today there are 8.
There are 8. And that includes the Times Telegram, right?
Well, I think it's 10 including the Times Telegram.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will tell you this. I mean, it's just a terrible situation. It used to be, and we never felt, even when we had 88 people, that we could cover everything we wanted to cover and needed to cover.
Right.
But several years, I retired 7 years ago. At the time, I told our publisher, Terry Casciola, we were like at 29 people in the newsroom. I said, Terry, we're under critical mass here. He agreed with me. That was 29.
Yeah. And now they're at 8.
And you cannot serve the community with that many people. You can't.
And John, here's the problem. So the price continues to go up on having the OD delivered to your home. And getting the digital product. The problem now I use my wife as an example. She wants the paper in her hands. She doesn't want it on the iPad. She doesn't want it on her phone.
Same here.
She wants the paper in her hands. But she's now reached a point where the Sunday paper is so scarce when it comes to local news. There's so little local news, and what is there oftentimes is something that was in the news on TV or on radio or even online 3 or 4 days ago. and I'm not trying to, kick somebody when they're down. But the problem is, if the product is not up to a certain standard, the circulation is going to continue to drop, which means this is a very big, I don't know what they're thinking, but this is not a winning proposition, it seems.
Well, one of the, and I happen to love the paper in my hand.
Yeah.
But, in the summertime, I love being out on my porch, drinking my coffee, reading the paper, doing the crossword, whatever, reading the obituaries, making sure I'm not in them. All those
Important.
kinds of things,
That's important. Yes.
But one of the problems as far as immediacy, and this is a huge factor, when they got rid of the press at the Observer-Dispatch and had to farm out the print.
Yep.
First to Binghamton, then to Syracuse, now to Rochester. These kids who are working there are facing, mostly young kids, are facing deadlines of 7 o'clock. Okay.
Right.
Now, if you're covering a New Hartford-Whitesboro football game, right, that starts at 7 o'clock, I don't think you're going to make a 7 o'clock deadline.
You're right.
Right.
Yeah.
So there goes your immediacy right there. If you have a big fire in Utica or Rome or whatever, and it's after 7 o'clock or after 5 o'clock, it isn't going to get in the paper. So your immediacy is just crushed.
And that deadline used to be 11, 12 o'clock. Like, I remember it being at midnight, right?
Oh, when I first started, I was the low man on the totem pole. My job was to get the Los Angeles Dodgers and San Francisco Giants scores in the paper, and I was there till 1:30 in the morning.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
And so we could get stuff in, and there were 3 editions of the paper.
Yeah.
The Valley edition, which we used to call the practice edition, then the Rome edition, which went to outlying, and then the city edition, which was Utica, Whitesboro, New Hartford. The thing is, guys, the industry has changed, and really, the internet is what crushed it.
Yep.
It's going to continue to crush it, and people say, well, it's just going to be delivered in a different way. That's true to an extent, but it's not completely true. They're covering less with fewer people, whether it's digital or print, and it's just not the same, and it's not the same product. And it's I'm very glad that I had 40-something years during what, yes, Bill, was the heyday of newspapers.
And John, the only thing I'll leave you with is the sad part of all of this is when you say, well, it'll just be a digital product. That's fine. But you're still going to be dealing with. We're still trying to figure out how do you make money on the digital product. That's a big problem,
exactly right.
And that means fewer people creating the news. I don't want to say creating, but delivering the news, and which means it's a lower quality. You don't have editors anymore. The OD seems to be, the editors are coming. They're out of town editors, which is why when there's a local story, they're making a reference. I use the example of talking about Herkimer, and in the story explaining to the readers of the OD where Herkimer is. You don't need that. You know that. That was edited in Rochester, somewhere far away.
Did you know Rome?
Actually, probably in Austin, Texas, where
That's the scary part.
And then you have freelance people all over the country.
Yeah.
They don't know they don't know where Blandina Street is or Tennessee Street is, or
let alone how to spell it. Yeah.
Right.
John Pedersey, as always, love your stuff. You've been a big part of the OD and a part of that paper in hand, reading your content, and we appreciate that.
All right, guys, you have a great morning. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
You do the same.
And
Thanks
part
so
of our
much.
WIBX broadcast team for the Boilermaker in years past, I'll just put a bow on this to say, in New York, the affected papers about what we're talking about include Journal News in the Lower Hudson Valley, Poughkeepsie Journal, the Times Herald Record in Middletown, Rochester Democrat and Chronicle, Utica OD, Times Telegram. Gannett laid off about 400 employees, or roughly 3% of its workforce this year, after posting $54 million in losses in the second quarter. Also, there was, in December, employees had a choice between shorter work weeks or a sabbatical, instituting a 20% pay cut.
Yeah. Brandon Williams is running against Francis Knoll in the 22nd Congressional District. We spoke with Knoll earlier this morning, and on the line right now is Brandon Williams. Brandon, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Bill. Glad to be here.
Thanks for taking the time. You're in the final stretch here. What are your thoughts?
Well, I tell everybody it's a lot like being on a submarine. There's no windows.
Yeah.
You really never know where you are.
Yeah.
You just got to, do the best you can.
Yeah. What do you think of the and maybe you're not seeing them? I'm sure where you are, you have to be seeing them. Just this constant rush of negative ads about you and about your opponent. I'll get to the truffle thing in a second, but I can't imagine your opponent is as bad as these commercials make it out to be, and I can't imagine you're as bad as their commercials make you out to be. I think the public is just tuning this stuff out. What's your thought on the millions of dollars that's spent on these TV commercials?
So the two national parties have spent $14 million collectively or more, in negative ads. This is, one of the biggest spends, and this is not an expensive media market, and so it goes a long way, and that's what we're all suffering from. I always say that there's a couple things that they say that are true. I was born in Texas. My wife and I did start a truffle farm. But I have to tell you, they've said some really, really ugly things about, my stance on abortion. They've completely misrepresented that. They've said some really nasty things about China, that have some kind of business ties with China, which I don't.
Your family shipped all these jobs to China. That's the
that's because my son owns 10 shares in Apple stock.
Wow.
I'm not kidding. That's literally, if you look at their source material, that's what they're referencing. And the truth is, I was a strategic missile officer on a submarine deterring China in the 90s, and the last time I was in China was as a college student. I was there during the Tiananmen Square protests in 1989.
Wow.
Right around Gorbachev's visit. And so have not set foot in China since being there right before, the protesters were badly trampled and run over with tanks and all kinds of stuff. So, that's the kind of stuff. I've never been in politics before, but it's, I guess it just goes with the territory.
Well, it's let's clarify. What is your stance on abortion?
Yeah, so, I'm the pro-life candidate, but I'm also a husband and father of 2 children. So I certainly support and would protect the rights, in the case of rape, incest, and life of the mother. Particularly life of the mother when right before, our daughter was born right before my last submarine patrol. And, we, as new parents, so excited to bring our daughter home.
Yeah.
And about 2 days later, my wife and daughter had to go back into the hospital with some very serious medical needs. And you have all of that fear. And, and then finally, 2 days later, again, they came home. And about 3 days after that, I left for sea, and completely out of communications for 80 days.
Wow.
Not really knowing how my family is. There is nothing more important to me than the life of my wife and children. And it's how that gets distorted is just, frankly, that's the one that hurt. So
I can only imagine. I would say I like truffles. I don't know why truffles are getting such a bad rap. I think it's kind of cool that you and your wife started a truffle farm. I normally we would look at that and be like, wow, that is so neat. Instead, you're being compared to coal and, and they make it look like more refuse than anything else in the pictures.
Well, to each his own, everybody likes truffle fries and truffle macaroni. And, we're really pioneers because no one has tried to cultivate truffles this far north in the United States. And we are, we were the first to do that. There's now many others that you haven't heard about because their orchards haven't matured like ours are. But it takes, 10 plus years for the orchard to grow and mature because these things grow on the roots. And so, there's no such thing as, of a luxurious farming experience. We've done this work ourselves. We planted 2,350 trees by hand. And, frankly, it's a lot like work.
Yeah. It's a lot like work.
Similar.
That's
Very
fair enough.
similar.
Manasseh.
The latest Siena College poll had the numbers at 46-42, a 4% difference between you and Mr. Knoll, within the 5% margin of error. But it had independents backing your opponent 45-39. Do you believe that? What do you make of that? How do you win tomorrow?
Sure. So, the Siena poll has, frankly, a terrible history. They said that Claudia Tenney was down by 9 points at the exact same place 2 years ago. And I might just say, Congresswoman Claudia Tenney losing by 9 points, in 2020. So I don't think anybody takes that poll seriously. It's really down to what the turnout looks like. And the only thing that any of us can do is just get out and vote.
Yeah.
And I really think, Bill, I really believe that the headlines on Wednesday morning are going to be nationwide that the Empire State has turned around and embraced common sense and is leading the nation back towards common sense. I think New York State is going to be the headline around the country Wednesday morning.
Well, who would have thought the governor's race would be close at this point? No one really saw that coming.
Well, you know what? New Yorkers, whichever way they lean, they like prosperity. They like, safety in our communities, and they like common sense. We're not California. We're not Illinois. The Empire State has a long tradition of leading this nation, and it's time we got back to it.
I wish one more.
Well, yeah, just one more. So you're saying you think that Zeldin's got a chance. Do you think Schumer could be in trouble? Do you think it goes that far? Do you think Letitia James could be in trouble?
I love Joe Pinion. I've been with him many times. That guy is charismatic. He's smart. He's articulate. He's just fun to be with. So personable and warm. When you're running against, the leader of the Senate, the majority leader of the Senate, it's just, that's a tough battle.
Yeah.
Schumer also is maybe the most popular candidate or politician, statewide politician, but he has started running ads that he never did before.
Yeah.
And so clearly they're seeing that,
there's
there
something
is
there.
this red wave.
Yeah. Because up to this point, there had been really very little campaigning, certainly no money spent, but all of a sudden, you're getting the feel that maybe there's something there. So what do you want is there anything else? I mean, I wish we would have more time to speak with you, but is there anything else you want voters to know that they may have only learned by watching television commercials about you?
Well, that's yikes.
Yeah.
I have never been in politics before. I stood up to just to serve, very much like Glenn Youngkin, really inspired by his win a year ago, that standing up with a common sense message that was a different lane than anything. It wasn't the Trump lane. It wasn't the Bush lane. There was something new, and I think that's what's really resonated, is being a grassroots campaign, and that's what's been interesting to me and exciting. The truth is, we just need better leadership, and that's the reason I'm standing up. So I've been very straightforward with people all along. You ask me a question, this is what happens in the nuclear Navy, right? If you're asked a question, you give an answer.
Yeah.
And not politics as usual. I think we're all pretty tired of the grievance politics and the lies, quite frankly, that we're getting out of our some of our political establishment.
Yeah.
So I'm an outsider, and here I am.
Brandon Williams, we appreciate the time. Wish you the best. It all ends unofficially tomorrow night at 9 o'clock.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, listen, thanks, guys.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brandon Williams.
Thank you.
And this is going to be interesting, right? Tomorrow's election day. Polls 6 a.m. until 9 p.m. tomorrow. If you haven't already voted, get out there and vote. There's a lot depending on this vote. There's no doubt about it. WIBX Utica Rome, it is 9:02.
You've heard me discuss how my everyday aches and pains were affecting my daily life before I started taking Relief Factor. You've also heard me talk to you about how my friends and family have found relief from their aches and pains with Relief Factor. Well, let me tell you about Gary from California. Gary says, I cannot thank you enough. I am 62 years old and have just started taking Relief Factor. I've never felt better and will recommend Relief Factor to all my baby boomer friends. Well, thanks for writing, Gary. 3 weeks from now, you could be doing the things you enjoy doing. Your first step to living the life you love, free from aches and pains, could just be to order the 3-week Quick Start for only $19.95. After trying Relief Factor, over 500,000 people have gone on to order more. Go to ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF to find out more about this offer. That's ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. Live your best life and feel the difference with Relief Factor.
Mark Rose's experience is unique. City Court Judge in Little Falls for the last 14 years. Visiting judge for Utica. As a 30-year practicing attorney, Mark Rose has argued cases at all levels up to the Court of Appeals. He's served as a municipal attorney in towns and villages across New York's 5th Judicial District. And now Mark Rose is running for state Supreme Court to serve all of us. Experience, integrity. Mark Rose for state Supreme Court.
Paid for by the committee to elect Mark Rose for state Supreme Court.
This year, we, the people of Oneida County, have a choice. We can bow down to the political establishment